Chapter 435. The three blades slashed down. In an instant, Liao Gumming's luck was reduced to gray. At this moment, Liao Gumming found that there was a flaw in his cultivation technique, and the true yuan in his body suddenly went berserk. The punch that was originally thrown out stopped in midair, and blood suddenly spurted out from his mouth. Then, he was hit by the 12 giants and directly staggered back. At the same time, a force that was far more terrifying than before suddenly crushed down from the sky. In an instant, the remaining 12 array plates trembled violently and then suddenly shattered. Along with the array plates, 12 spiritual stones also shattered. The spiritual stones shattered. A tide of spiritual energy was set off, rushing in all directions. But now, Qin Shujian did not care so much. Because when this force bombarded down, the karmic fire that ignited in his spiritual deity became even more terrifying. Even the karmic fire that was impenetrable faintly showed signs of being unable to resist. Karmic fire. When he felt this change, Qin Shujian's face became solemn. Impenetrable. But there was a limit. Now that he had forcefully reduced a heavenly being's luck to gray, it directly attracted a powerful karmic fire. Even Qin Shujian could vaguely feel that the world seemed to be brewing something. Soon, he knew what this thing that was brewing was. Heaven's wrath. At this moment, because the array plates were broken, the array that had been covering the two of them was also broken. The array was broken, and along with the impact of the tide of spiritual energy, it directly spread out in the battlefield. Such a change naturally attracted the attention of the two sects, and also attracted the attention of the experts who were secretly watching the battle. Everyone knew. The ones who could really decide the outcome of this battle were still Qin Shujian and Liao Gumming. If the two of them were to fight to the death, then their sects would directly have the upper hand. Therefore, after the array was broken, all eyes on the battlefield looked at the original location of the array. There, Qin Shujian and Liao Gumming's figures appeared. Hiss, Liao Gumming is injured. A formation grandmaster is so terrifying. Even a celestial being like Lian Gumming can't fight against him. You're wrong. Formation grandmasters are good at formations. Now that the formation is broken, Qin Shujian is only a god martial realm cultivator. Even if Lian Gumming is injured, it shouldn't be hard to take down a god martial realm cultivator. In the distance, their divine wills intertwined as they continued to converse with each other. Many people were shocked by Lian Gumming's miserable appearance and the blood on the corner of his mouth. After all, the other party was a diviner. Even in the entire Great Zhao, he was a top expert. For a long time, celestial realm cultivators had created a feeling of invincibility. In addition, for so many years, there had been very few celestial realm experts to fight. Therefore, many people were in awe of the strength of such experts. Therefore, when Lian Gumming was injured, it naturally caused quite a commotion. Sect Master. Everyone from the Heavenly Corpse sect was excited when they saw Lian Gumming. Up until now, they had not gained any advantage and had even lost Wan Yuanzhou, who was at the peak of the god martial arts realm. Regarding this, the people from the Heavenly Corpse sect were also helpless. The cultivators of the Origin sect were generally not as strong as them, but they had too many Dao artifacts. So many that an airborne realm cultivator could rely on a 3-seal Dao artifact to contend with a 7th-level divine martial realm cultivator. Someone took a rough look and saw that the Origin sect had taken out no less than 10 Dao artifacts. 10 Dao artifacts, when controlled by a cultivator, were enough to stand shoulder to shoulder with a god martial realm cultivator. Under such circumstances, naturally, the Heavenly Corpse sect could not gain any advantage. After all, although the Heavenly Corpse sect was a top sect, the number of Dao artifacts in their hands was limited. An expert like Wan Yuanzhou who had a 2-seal Dao artifact was already very rare. In the end, the real stabilizing force of the Heavenly Corpse sect was Lian Gumming, a diviner. Therefore, after Lian Gumming appeared, the people of the Heavenly Corpse sect felt relieved. However, compared to the Heavenly Corpse sect's morale, the people of the Origin sect felt a lot heavier. The destruction of the formation meant that they had to face a diviner. Although Qin Shujian was powerful, without the support of the formation, he could not compete with a diviner. As a result, their situation was very difficult. Kill. Today, no one from the Origin sect will be left alive. A Heavenly Corpse sect expert roared and immediately started the battle again. After saying that, the Heavenly Corpse sect expert stared at the Origin sect with a cruel gaze. The sect master has already broken the formation. You're all dead. Kill. In an instant, the Heavenly Corpse sect's attack was fierce and shocking. Regarding this, although the Origin sect's heart was heavy, he did not give up resisting because of this. Test Jian Feng took a step forward and disappeared on the spot. Immediately after, he turned into 42 afterimages and finally turned into a shocking sword that attacked a prominent divine realm cultivator. 7 killing gods and demons against the stars. The first move of entering the Tao, filled with killing intent. Test Jianfeng was one of the few in the Origin sect who could fight against an opponent who was a level higher than him without relying on a Tao artifact. Flying Battle Sage. They seemed to be in the spirit martial realm, but in fact, only when one stepped into the prominent divine realm could one understand how big the gap between the two was. Facing this heaven-shocking sword, the Vision Divine Stage Cultivator was greatly shocked. It was also at this moment. A powerful palm made of astral energy flew over and landed on the black rainbow. Instantly, the black rainbow shattered and a sword lotus appeared under Test Jianfeng's feet. He had already moved in the air and dispelled this powerful force. Shortly after, his gaze looked in another direction where an elder of the Heavenly Corpse sect was charging over. Divine Martial Realm. Test Jianfeng spat out these 2 words and his face finally became serious. Divine Martial Realm. If he could fight against or even kill an ordinary Vision Divine Cultivator, then a God Martial Realm Cultivator would be a great enemy that he had never faced before. Even when the Ji family was at its peak, they did not have such an expert. Taking a deep breath, Test Jianfeng pointed his sword at the ground. His essence, energy, and spirit had already reached a peak state as he stared at the Divine Martial Realm Cultivator that interfered. Boom! The Vision Divine Stage Cultivator from before didn't stop. When an expert intervened, he directly attacked Test Jianfeng. A prominent Divine Realm Cultivator and a Divine Martial Realm Cultivator working together to kill an Airborne Realm Cultivator. If this were to spread out, they would lose face. But for the people of the Heavenly Corpse sect, face was nothing. At this moment, the battle between the 2 sects was only the difference between life and death. So, cultivators like Test Jianfeng who could challenge those of a higher realm were the main targets of the Heavenly Corpse sect. The attack arrived in an instant. Tri Jianfeng's eyes were focused and his ears were alert. The long sword in his hand drew a mysterious arc in the air. The black sword aura was attached to it, as if it had turned into the blade of the Grim Reaper. It easily broke through the incoming attack. It was also when he made his move. The God Martial Realm Cultivator who had been keeping a close eye on them finally made his move. Boom! The Divine Martial Realm Cultivator's move was earth-shattering. Test Jianfeng rose into the air with his sword and went straight into the blue sky. Riding the sword into the blue sky, traveling between heaven and earth. You want to leave? It's not that easy. The 2 experts of the Heavenly Corpse sect looked at each other and directly rose into the air and chased after Test Jianfeng. Zhang Ergu was originally fighting against a Divine Martial Realm Cultivator. When he saw this scene from the corner of his eye, he was instantly enraged. 1 against 2. The Heavenly Corpse sect is shameless indeed. As he spoke, the cosmic bow in his hand released a powerful wave of energy. An arrow shot out and forced his opponent to retreat. Then, he took out a cloud-piercing arrow and shot it at the Divine Martial Realm Cultivator who was chasing after Test Jianfeng. The entire process was as smooth as flowing water. It took less than a breath of time. Good lad, you do have some style. The Cosmos Bow also praised. Zhang Ergu smiled faintly. There was a hint of smugness on his face. Of course, as the 2 of them chatted, the cloud-piercing arrow had already shot into the blue sky. The Divine Martial Realm Cultivator who was chasing after Test Jianfeng suddenly felt a strong sense of danger. Without any hesitation, he immediately took out a shield from his interspatial ring and turned around to block the arrow. As soon as he turned around, he saw a cold light streaking across the sky. Then, It directly bombarded the shield. The shield that was a half-step Tao artifact could only block the cold light for 2 to 3 breaths of time before it was pierced through by this terrifying power. Freeze for me. The divine martial realm cultivator did not have time to be shocked. He activated his cultivation technique and his body turned into an indestructible metal. His true essence exploded, and combined with his true essence, he tried to block the cloud-piercing arrow. Boom! The moment Zhang Ergu made his move, Test Jianfeng's body suddenly scattered and turned into a shocking sword. The sword aura was like a heavenly river hanging in the sky. It directly stunned the prominent divine martial realm cultivator chasing after him. A sudden change. The prominent divine martial realm cultivator did not expect this. He was extremely anxious to kill Test Jianfeng, and because he was chasing after him together with the divine martial realm cultivator, he did not think that Test Jianfeng would dare to counterattack. Perhaps he had expected this, but he only held back a bit of his strength. But from Zhang Ergu blocking the divine martial realm cultivator to Test Jianfeng turning around to kill him, the entire process was flawless. Especially the sword aura that was like a heavenly river collapsing. It caused one's mind to waver. Everything happened too quickly. When the prominent divine martial realm cultivator had just raised his true essence protective aura, the sword had already broken it and pierced through his body. The sword intent attached to the long sword suddenly exploded, instantly crushing the cultivator's internal organs and killing him instantly. Just as the cultivator was about to die, a voice rang out. The god martial realm cultivator used his own strength to block the arrow. His powerful true essence fell on the arrow, wanting to suppress it in one fell swoop. A shocking sword came. The divine martial realm cultivator had no choice but to withdraw his true essence and cancel the thought of suppressing the cloud-piercing arrow. Then he took a step back and the sword slashed at where he was originally standing. Chapter 436. Everything happened very quickly. On the other side, Qin Shujian and Lian Gumming were standing opposite each other. One of them was silently resisting the corrosion of the karmic fire, while the other was surprised and bewildered by the sudden change in events. What method did you use? Lian Gumming stared at Qin Shujian with deep fear in his eyes. When facing an enemy, there was a problem with the cultivation method, and then he hurt himself. For a cultivator, this was something that was almost impossible. Not to mention a diviner, even an ordinary basic realm cultivator might not necessarily have such a situation. So, the previous problem must have happened because the other party used some strange method. For unknown things, even a celestial realm powerhouse would have scruples in their hearts. Qin Shujian secretly resisted the hellfire and pretended to be unfathomable. He sneered and said, "Then what method do you think this is?" Deliberately mystifying. Lian Gumming's face was gloomy as he said coldly, "In that case, I'll let you see the true foundation of my heavenly corpse sect." As he spoke, he directly formed a seal in the air, and then the earth trembled. Outside the mountain gate of the heavenly corpse sect, in a dark swamp, the calm swamp was boiling violently. A terrifying aura was slowly waking up from a deep sleep. Crack, the sky changed color, and lightning could be seen flashing in the clear sky, as if telling the world that something terrifying was about to be born. When they felt this aura, everyone's expression changed drastically. How can it be? Could it be that the heavenly corpse sect is hiding some trump card? This aura is not weaker than a diviner. Hiss. The experts of the various sects were really shocked this time. The aura was not weaker than a diviner. Could it be that the heavenly corpse sect had a second diviner? Regarding this news, not only the other experts, but even the people who were sent by the top sects to watch the battle were greatly shocked. Having one diviner and having two diviners. They were two completely different concepts. If the heavenly corpse sect, which had Lian Gumming, was considered a top sect, then having two celestial beings would make the heavenly corpse sect stand above the other top sections. This was the change brought about by the addition of a celestial. Even Qin Shujian had a grave expression on his face at this moment. Two celestial beings. To be honest, such an unforeseen event was beyond his expectations. However, according to the information he had obtained, The Heavenly Corpse sect shouldn't have two celestial beings. At this moment, the swamp suddenly collapsed, and a body that seemed to be made of black iron rushed out from it. A ferocious and bloodthirsty aura instantly burst out. At this moment, everyone saw where the celestial being's aura came from. He had a black iron-like body and a malevolent face that didn't look like a normal human's. His hands were long and slender, and his fingernails were sharp and sharp. He was wearing a dark brown armor. This is Sect Leader Jiang. When the elders of the Heavenly Corpse sect saw the object that had suddenly appeared, they were stunned for a second before their faces turned pale with fright. When they heard this sentence, everyone else's expression changed at the same time. Sect Leader Jiang. Which Sect Leader Jiang? Everyone instantly thought of the previous sect leader of the Heavenly Corpse sect who had exhausted his lifespan and passed away. Jiang Feng. The sect leader of the Heavenly Corpse sect was also the first celestial being to be born in the Heavenly Corpse sect. It could be said that the Heavenly Corpse sect's position as a top sect was all because of Jiang Feng's existence. Even Lin Gumming was just a successor cultivated by him. But as early as 800 years ago, Jiang Feng had already passed away. Otherwise, Lin Gumming wouldn't have been able to become the sect leader. Some of the older experts of the Heavenly Corpse sect also recognized at this moment. It's really Sect Leader Jiang. Didn't Sect Leader Jiang pass away? How could this be? Although Jiang Feng's appearance had changed greatly, there were still some characteristics that were enough for these experts to recognize his true identity. Zombie. Qin Shujian stared at Jiang Feng and spat out two words. If he still didn't know what this was, then he really didn't live up to the memories of his previous life. In this world where people could live for thousands of years, the existence of zombies seemed to be very reasonable. Qin Shujian wasn't shocked by the appearance of the zombie. He was shocked that Lin Gumming had refined the body of the previous sect leader of the Heavenly Corpse sect into a zombie comparable to a celestial being. Hearing this, Lin Gumming's face also revealed a look of surprise. I didn't expect you to know about zombies. This is your final trump card? Do you know why the Heavenly Corpse sect is called the Heavenly Corpse sect? It's because our sect's method is to refine zombies. At this moment, Lin Gumming seemed to have victory in his grasp and was in the mood to say a few more words. This zombie is a heavenly corpse that I cultivated using the body of a celestial being expert as a medium and combining it with the great success of my sect's secret technique. Heavenly corpses are immortal and their strength is comparable to a celestial being expert. Now, the Heavenly Corpse sect has two celestial beings. What do you have to fight with me? Qin Shujian, it's time for you to die. At the end of his words, the cruel smile on Lin Gumming's face gradually became more and more arrogant. So what if you're an array grandmaster? So what if you have strange methods? In front of two celestial beings, even a celestial being array grandmaster would have a dead end, let alone a god martial realm array grandmaster. Hearing Lin Gumming's words, Qin Shujian's expression didn't change much. But when the others heard it, their expressions suddenly changed. Refining zombies. Heavenly corpses. It could be said that since the establishment of the Heavenly Corpse sect, they had never displayed any means of refining zombies. Even the experts of the Heavenly Corpse sect didn't realize that their sect had such a mysterious cultivation method and martial arts. It wasn't until Lin Gumming displayed it that they realized that their sect's strongest technique was actually refining zombies. Yuan Zhong has lost. The experts of the other sects who were watching the battle had the same thought in their minds. Lin Gumming and Jiang Feng's Heavenly Corpse could sweep the entire Yuan Zhong, not to mention the other experts of the Heavenly Corpse sect. The stalemate of the battle had finally become clear. However, some sects didn't want Yuan Zhong to be defeated so easily. The Heavenly Corpse sect was too strong, so strong that it made them fearful. If it was possible, these sects hoped that Yuan Zhong and the Heavenly Corpse sect would suffer heavy losses or perish together. Kill. With a thought, Lin Gumming immediately controlled Jiang Feng and charged toward Qin Shujian. In an instant, a terrifying and tyrannical aura erupted, followed by an earth-shattering attack. Qin Shujian took a step back. With a wave of his hand, thousands of formation runes fell and covered the Heavenly Corpse sect. However, boom. The formation only appeared for 1 or 2 breaths before it shattered. The formation that was casually set up couldn't last for too long. At the same time, Lien Gumming took a step forward and struck out a palm print. The power of heaven and earth descended as a terrifying palm print was formed and crushed toward Qin Shujian. The originally calm situation was suddenly broken. In the blink of an eye, Qin Shujian was besieged by 2 heavenly beings. True Yuan erupted as the dustless celestial robe on his body turned into a powerful shield, protecting him inside. Boom! 2 terrifying attacks fell, and the shield of the dustless celestial robe shattered. Even a 3-seal Dao artifact couldn't withstand the attacks of a heavenly being for long. Qin Shujian's shield was shattered, and a terrifying force slammed into his body. He was sent flying through the air, and he barely managed to stabilize himself. He forced back a mouthful of blood as he swallowed it back down his throat. Then, he saw the 2 attacks coming at him again. Until now, Qin Shujian couldn't be bothered with the karmic fire. As he made up his mind, he activated his Dharma Eye again. The dim light turned into a long saber and slashed at Lien Gumming's karmic luck. The saber fell. The originally gray karmic luck was shaved off like a black cloud and instantly turned black. The moment the karmic luck turned black, Lien Gumming suddenly felt a great terror descending. There was a flaw in his attack, causing it to collapse. As the attack collapsed, it caused the true Yuan to be displaced, causing the true Yuan to go berserk in his body. His body stiffened on the spot, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Apart from that, he also discovered something that shocked him. Heavenly Corpse Jiangfeng's body suddenly emitted a furious divine sense, which diluted the imprint he had left on his body by quite a bit. For a moment, Lien Gumming lost control of Heavenly Corpse Jiangfeng, causing the Heavenly Corpse to stop attacking and quietly float in the air. Only the raging aura on his body flickered as if he was struggling fiercely. You. Cough, cough. Facing such an unforeseen event, Lien Gumming was shocked and angry. Just as he was about to say something, he choked on his saliva and coughed violently. This cough triggered the injuries in his body, causing him to spit out a lot of blood. Bad omen. An unprecedented bad omen suddenly descended. Lien Gumming found that he was so unlucky that even swallowing his saliva would cause him to choke. At this moment, a trace of fear finally emerged in his heart. Towards the unknown, anyone would instinctively feel a trace of fear. If Qin Shujian suddenly unleashed the power of a heavenly being and brutally beat him up, Lien Gumming would not be afraid. But now, he did not know what the other party did, but he just stood there and did not move, and he hurt himself. Such a method was too strange and impossible to guard against. Lien Gumming originally wanted to say something, but he hesitated and did not say anything. Just as he was thinking about his next move, the mark that was left on the Heavenly Corpse's body when he was refining it suddenly shattered. Such a change greatly shocked him. When he turned his head to look at Heavenly Corpse Jiangfeng, he happened to meet a pair of red eyes filled with killing intent. Chapter 437. There was no reason. In Heavenly Corpse Jiangfeng's eyes, he just felt uncomfortable looking at Lien Gumming. For hundreds of years, he had been trapped at the bottom of the swamp. Originally, with the Heavenly Corpse's characteristics, staying in such a dark place should have been his favorite. But now, for some reason, he felt very uncomfortable when he thought about it. Even thinking about the hundreds of years of imprisonment, he felt a violent anger. This kind of anger made it want to tear the other party to shreds. Heavenly Corpses did not have any spiritual intelligence. More than that, it was driven by instinct. So when this violent killing intent surged, Heavenly Corpse Jiangfeng instantly locked onto Lien Gumming. Roar. With a roar that did not sound like a human's voice, Heavenly Corpse Jiangfeng had already pounced on Lien Gumming. Lien Gumming formed a seal in his hand, trying to regain control of the Heavenly Corpse. But when the seal was halfway formed, it had to fail midway because of the true essence's circulation. Such an unforeseen event. It made Lien Gumming's movements pause. Then, Heavenly Corpse Jiangfeng's attack arrived. His withered and slender fingers clenched into a fist and heavily bombarded Lien Gumming's chest. Violent power instantly burst out. Unsurprisingly, Lian Gumming was sent flying by the attack, but his physical body had reached the level of a Tao artifact. Although it took the heavenly corpse's attack and caused his internal organs to shake, it did not cause too much damage. Stop! Lian Gumming barely managed to stabilize himself. Looking at heavenly corpse Jiang Feng, his face was full of shock and anger. He instinctively wanted to stop him, but just as he opened his mouth, he choked on his saliva and coughed violently. His internal organs shook and he spat out dark red blood. The sudden change. Everyone was at a loss. What was going on? Originally, the two heavenly corpses were still attacking Qin Shujian. But in less than a few breaths, Lian Gumming coughed up blood, and heavenly corpse Jiang Feng turned to attack the heavenly corpse sect master. Everything put together was definitely not a coincidence. Suddenly, some people's eyes fell on Qin Shujian, who was standing in the void. They could not help but feel a touch of fear in their hearts. No one was naive enough to think that this situation was caused by Liao Gumming himself. But if it wasn't Lian Gumming, then there was only one person who could have caused this. The master of Yuan sect, Qin Shujian. What kind of method is this? Why have I never heard of it before? Even a celestial being is like this. If it were used on others, wouldn't it be killing them without leaving a trace? The experts of the various sects were horrified. Things that couldn't be seen or touched were the most frightening. No one could see through what was happening in front of them. Many people connected the current situation to Qin Shujian's identity as the reincarnation of a mighty figure. A method that could deal with a celestial was not something that an ordinary cultivator could grasp. Perhaps only someone with the identity of a powerful being in his previous life could possess such strength. As for the people from the Heavenly Corpse sect, at this moment, he fell into a state of confusion. The appearance of the former sect master was already shocking enough. Then, he recalled that there were two celestials on his side. Destroying Yuan Zone would be a piece of cake. However, for some unknown reason, the two celestials from his own sect had suddenly turned against each other and started to kill each other. As for Qin Shujian, who was standing motionless in the void, he had become a bystander instead. Such a change made the people of the Heavenly Corpse sect both shocked and angry. However, they had no way of intervening. A battle between celestial beings was not something that anyone could intervene in. As for the power that Qin Shujian had displayed previously, no one thought that their strength was superior and could deal with him. So, no one cared about Qin Shujian, who was standing in the void. The battle continued without end. In the void, Qin Shujian stood motionless. In the depths of his mind, the hellfire had already burned to an extremely terrifying degree. The spiritual god's invulnerability was now on the verge of collapse. That was not all. The terrifying hellfire had even surpassed the suppression of his mind and was spreading toward his physical body. Now that Qin Shujian was fighting the hellfire with all his strength, he did not have time to care about other things. To be honest, although he understood that touching the hellfire would lead to the hellfire burning him, but if he had not completely cut off Liao Gumming's hellfire, it would not have led to such a terrifying hellfire. Otherwise, with the invulnerability, he could still resist the hellfire's corrosion. But now, he was in an awkward situation. To this, Qin Shujian was also helpless. Who would have thought that Liao Gumming had a celestial being zombie in his hands? Not only did he not expect this, but no one was prepared for it at all. Facing the attack of two celestial beings, Qin Shujian could only harden his heart and cut off all of Liao Gumming's hellfire. All living beings of heaven and earth would more or less have hellfire, but the majority of people had white hellfire. Those who were often unlucky might have gray hellfire. Those with gray hellfire had everything going wrong. Those with black hellfire would have bad luck. Only those who were about to die would have black hellfire. A celestial being's huge hellfire had been forcefully weakened to the point of black. It was not an exaggeration to say that such a move was defying the heavens and changing one's fate. So, the hellfire that Qin Shujian was facing now was also extremely terrifying. He still felt that some kind of great terror was approaching, as if it would descend at any time. Heaven's wrath? Qin Shujian secretly took a deep breath. Hellfire was approaching, and heaven's wrath was coming. Right now, the hellfire had not really erupted, so heaven's wrath had not really descended. If the hellfire could not be suppressed, then heaven's wrath would instantly descend. Under heaven's wrath, all living beings would be wiped out. Even a celestial being would have no way in front of heaven's wrath, defying the heavens and changing one's fate. So one has to bear the hellfire burning one's body. This is the punishment of the heavenly Tao for those who touch the laws of heaven and earth, and it is also a test. In this case, maybe it's time to change the way to deal with the hellfire. Qin Shujian's mind was spinning rapidly. The saying of defying the heavens and changing one's fate was just an exaggeration. Everything was under the operation of the heavenly Tao. Any method was actually in accordance with heaven's will. However, hellfire was already something similar to the laws. If one wanted to touch the laws, they had to have enough strength. The hellfire was approaching. For those who were not strong enough, it was a punishment. But for those who were strong enough, it was a test in disguise. Punishment and test were just a matter of thought. Although Qin Shujian was extremely confident in his strength, he did not think that he could contend with the hellfire of this level now, let alone the wrath of heaven. In this way, if he wanted to deal with the hellfire, he had to rely on other methods. The hellfire is hellfire. If you want to offset such hellfire, you either have to rely on absolute strength or rely on something similar to invulnerability. Finally, you have to have a strong enough hellfire. The hellfire burns hellfire, and hellfire can also drown out the hellfire. The two are mutually reinforcing and restraining each other. Qin Shujian thought about the hellfire and hellfire. Then, with a thought, a halberd was taken out from the storage ring. This was Wan Yuanzhou's Taoist artifact. After Wan Yuanzhou died, this Taoist artifact was forcibly suppressed by him. Originally, he planned to go back and slowly deal with this Taoist artifact. But looking at the current situation, he could not wait until then. On the other side, the halberd was taken out of the storage ring, and it immediately burst out with a strong fighting spirit, trying to break through Qin Shujian's restraint and escape into the distance. Suppress. Qin Shujian made a seal with one hand, and the true meaning of sealing fell, instantly imprisoning the halberd in midair. Then, he held the halberd with one hand, and his true essence surged, suppressing the resistance of this Taoist artifact. Then, with a thought, he led the hellfire to his palm. In the eyes of outsiders, Qin Shujian's arm suddenly ignited with a faint red flame, and then the flame flowed down his arm and fell on the halberd like water. Suddenly, the halberd trembled violently, as if it was enduring something terrible. Qin Shujian immediately activated his Dharma eye to look. He saw that the yellow qilin of the heavenly corpse sex hellfire was burning from its body, constantly dissolving the heavenly corpse sex hellfire. As for the yellow qilin of Yuanzhong, it stopped attacking at this time. Not only did it not move forward, but it also took a few steps back. Its huge eyes looked at the yellow qilin of the heavenly corpse sect with fear. It seemed that it did not dare to move forward, for fear of being contaminated by the hellfire. At this time, the huge yellow qilin of the heavenly corpse sect was being burned by the hellfire, and it was declining bit by bit. It was not until the yellow clouds turned into blue clouds that the burning hellfire was completely extinguished. At this time, Qin Shujian looked at the halberd in his hand. This two-seal Taoist artifact had been completely incinerated by the hellfire, and it was like a piece of scrap metal. With just a little force, it turned into flying ashes and dissipated. Hiss! Qin Shujian was shocked by this. The hellfire's ability was similar to the Wise King hellfire that he had mastered previously. The only difference was, the hellfire could not condense into a fire lotus for him to absorb, but the Wise King hellfire could. When he looked at the hellfire burning in his mind again, compared to before, the intensity of the hellfire had weakened by 1/3, and only 1/3 had not dissipated. However, the remaining 1/3 of the hellfire was no longer a threat to Qin Shujian's spiritual deity. Although the spiritual deity's impenetrability could not resist the hellfire of any intensity, it was still useful. As for the remaining hellfire, Qin Shujian did not plan to deal with it for the time being. To extinguish the hellfire, he had to use his luck. In this way, He could either use his own luck or the sect's luck to offset the hellfire, or use the luck of others to offset it. However, if he wanted to borrow the luck of other sects, he had to have a certain medium. Just like the halberd just now. As one of the Heavenly Corpse sect's Taoist artifacts, it was connected to the Heavenly Corpse sect's luck, so it could be used as a medium to extinguish the hellfire. It was a pity. This halberd did not represent all of the Heavenly Corpse sect's luck, so it could only offset a part of the hellfire, but not all of it. Even so, it was enough for Qin Shujian for the time being. Subsequently, he looked at where Lian Gumming and Heavenly Corpse Jiang Feng were. At this time, the battle between the two heavenly beings had reached a white-hot stage. No, it should be said that the battle between Heavenly Corpse Jiang Feng and Lian Gumming had reached a white-hot stage. In terms of strength, Lian Gumming was not weaker than Heavenly Corpse Jiang Feng, or rather, he was stronger than Heavenly Corpse Jiang Feng. In the end, Heavenly Corpse Jiang Feng was personally refined by Lian Gumming, so no matter how strong he was, he could not be stronger than Lian Gumming. Qin Shujian also understood why he was in such a situation. Misfortune befell him. Now, the black luck was like a dark cloud, covering Lian Gumming. In this situation, to put it bluntly, Lian Gumming might not even be able to drink a mouthful of cold water, let alone fight. After taking a deep look at the two of them, Qin Shujian immediately leaped into the air and charged toward an elder of the Heavenly Corpse sect who was in the God Martial realm. Lian Gumming was dealt with by Heavenly Corpse Jiang Feng, so the two of them fighting each other had nothing to do with him. On the contrary, because the two strongest Heavenly Corpse sect elders were not free, he could take advantage of this opportunity to eliminate the Heavenly Corpse sect elder. Boom! The golden lotus shield was shattered, and the aftermath of the attack did not dissipate. Jiang Feng groaned, and a little blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Then, he activated his spiritual ether again, causing the golden lotus to bloom and protect his body. Until now, he had used up a lot of spiritual ether to fight against an expert above the 7th level of the God Martial realm with the power of a 6th level golden lotus. This was supposed to be an upper-grade truth tier cultivation method. After he cultivated it to perfection, he found that the Eternal Youth technique was only an incomplete version. Jiang Feng used the power of the Sky Origin sect to collect the rest of this cultivation method. After collecting it, this cultivation method, which was supposed to be an upper-grade truth tier cultivation method, had officially transformed into an upper-grade spirit tier cultivation method. But in the end, he was still an airborne realm cultivator. Compared to the God Martial realm, the gap was too big. If it were not for the 6th level golden lotus in hand, Jiang Feng would not even be able to withstand 3 moves and would be killed on the spot. However, even with the help of the 3-seal Taoist artifact, his spiritual ether had been severely depleted in the battle until now, and it would be difficult for him to hold on for too long. Without this turtle shell, I want to see how long you can last. Hong Ningtian showed a cruel and ferocious smile, and he did not hide his killing intent. Taking so long to deal with an airborne realm cultivator was something that should not have happened in the first place. The longer the battle went on, the angrier he became. Only by killing Jiang Feng could he vent the hatred in his heart. Thinking of this, Hong Ningtian's attacks were even fiercer. All of a sudden, a terrifying aura came down from the sky. Immediately, he was shocked. When he forced Jiang Feng back with a punch, he turned around and saw a person walking in the air. Qin Shujian. Hong Ningtian's face suddenly became serious and even a little shocked. He had seen how Wan Yuanzhou was beaten to death by the other party. In terms of strength, although he did not think that he was weaker than Wan Yuanzhou, he was definitely not stronger. In this case, if he were to face Qin Shujian, the possibility of him losing was greater. However, as an elder of the Heavenly Corpse sect, Hong Ningtian had no possibility of retreating in the current situation. So when he saw Qin Shujian coming over, he also directly flew over and burst out with a powerful attack. Die! His killing intent was awe-inspiring. The condensed fist aura destroyed everything and directly blasted toward Qin Shujian. Qin Shujian did not retreat or dodge, and also punched out. When the two collided, a strong ripple spread out in all directions with the two as the center. Immediately afterward, Hong Ningtian's body shook, and the qi and blood in his body surged slightly, but he did not retreat because of this. From this, it could be seen that his strength was not much weaker than Wan Yuanzhou. On the other side, the battle between Lin Guming and Heavenly Corpse Jiang Feng was still ongoing. As the sect master of the Heavenly Corpse sect, the ancient Ming had reached an unfathomable level in terms of physique refinement. The strength of his physical body was comparable to a Tao artifact. With such a strong physical body, he would be invincible against ordinary cultivators. However, as the former sect master of the Heavenly Corpse sect, Jiang Feng's physical strength was not inferior to Lin Guming's. Moreover, after being refined into a heavenly corpse through special means, he was even stronger than before. Except for his lack of spiritual intelligence, the current heavenly corpse Jiang Feng was actually stronger than the former sect master of the Heavenly Corpse sect, Jiang Feng. As a result, even if it was a normal confrontation, Lin Guming was not very confident that he could suppress the other party. Not to mention now, when misfortune struck him, he did not have much time to use any of his techniques before they all collapsed due to various reasons. So, from the beginning of the battle until now, Lin Guming did not have any power to resist and was almost beaten into a one-sided situation. Fortunately, his physical defense was really strong. Even under such continuous and terrifying attacks, he was still able to survive until now. If it were an ordinary Heavenly Corpse sect master, he would have died by now. No. Cough cough. Impossible. Cough cough. After taking another punch, Lin Guming retreated far away. At this time, he no longer had his original temperament. Instead, his hair was disheveled and he looked crazy. Staring at the Heavenly Corpse Jiang Feng in front of him, he wanted to eat his flesh and drink his blood. Lin Guming did not expect that the trump card that he had painstakingly refined for hundreds of years would become his biggest enemy as soon as he showed it. After taking on the fierce attacks of the other party, he already felt that his physical body was on the verge of collapse. If this went on, he would definitely die. He, the sect master of the Heavenly Corpse sect, would definitely die under the fist of the Heavenly Corpse he refined. Regarding this result, Lin Guming could not accept it no matter what. Boom! His hand reached out, and a shocking wave of energy erupted from the mountain gate of the Heavenly Corpse sect. Then, a long saber flew over. This was the Heavenly Corpse sect's Tao artifact. At first, Lin Guming did not use it because he was confident in his strength. After being trapped by the array, he did not have the chance to use the Tao artifact. Until now, facing the pressure of Heavenly Corpse Jiang Feng, he decided to use this Tao artifact to kill him in one fell swoop. With the three-sealed Tao artifact and his own strength, it was not difficult to deal with a Heavenly Corpse without intelligence. Just as Lin Guming reached out and was about to grab the long saber, suddenly, the long saber seemed to be flying in the wrong direction for some reason. Then, Heavenly Corpse Jiang Feng reached out and grabbed the handle of the saber. For a moment, the scene fell silent. Lin Guming looked at his outstretched hand as if he was grabbing air. Then, he looked at the Tao artifact in Heavenly Corpse Jiang Feng's hand. He suddenly felt disgusted, as if he had been forced to eat hot shit. Even if he knew that he was in bad luck, he only thought that his body had been tampered with by the other party. However, the current situation destroyed Liao Guming's last glimmer of hope. A Heavenly Corpse Jiang Feng could beat him like a dead dog. Now, he even had the help of a Tao artifact. Lin Guming didn't even need to think about it to know his fate. On the other side, after obtaining the Tao artifact, Heavenly Corpse Jiang Feng's violent red eyes were fixed on Lin Guming again. The current sect master of the Heavenly Corpse sect was already seriously injured. Facing Heavenly Corpse Jiang Feng, he did not have the slightest strength to fight back. The reason he could last until now was all because of his tyrannical physical body that was comparable to a Tao artifact. But after the other party obtained the Tao artifact, Lin Guming's strongest physical body was also gone. There were no accidents. In just a few minutes, Lin Guming was beheaded by the Heavenly Corpse General without any resistance. The moment his head was separated from his body, blood sprinkled down. Sect Master. The Sect Master is dead. Seeing this scene, the other experts of the Heavenly Corpse sect were horrified. No one expected that Lien Gumming would really die in the hands of the heavenly corpse he refined. With Lien Gumming's death, the remaining morale of the heavenly corpse sect instantly dissipated. At this moment, another earth-shattering explosion sounded. Hong Ningtian lay on the ground like a puddle of mud, unable to move at all. Qin Shujian slowly withdrew his fist and then summoned Qian Shanxue, who was fighting with a divine martial cultivator. Then, without any effort, he nailed him to the ground. Lien Gumming is dead. Today, no one from the Heavenly Corpse sect will be left alive. A wisp of a cold smile appeared on the corners of Qin Shujian's mouth, and then he took a step into the sky. With a wave of his hand, a large formation covered down and swallowed many illustrious saint stage cultivators. Retreat, all of you retreat. All disciples of the Heavenly Corpse sect, retreat. A Heavenly Corpse sect elder roared with bloodshot eyes. With Lien Gumming dead, the Heavenly Corpse sect's biggest advantage was gone. On the Sky Origin sect side, there was Qin Shujian, a Formation Dao Grandmaster. Moreover, without using Formation Dao, he could directly kill Wan Yuanzhou and Hong Ningtian. His strength had reached a terrifying level. Not to mention, Lien Gumming's death and Heavenly Corpse Zhang Feng's loss of control were all because the other party used some strange method. As a result, the Heavenly Corpse sect lost the ability to compete with the Sky Origin sect. If they continued to fight, only death would await them. Perhaps by then, the entire Heavenly Corpse sect would be completely destroyed. Therefore, retreat was the only way out. In fact, there was no need for the elder to say anything. After Lien Gumming's and Hong Ningtian's deaths, there were already cultivators who fled the battlefield without looking back. Until now, the Heavenly Corpse sect's defeat was a foregone conclusion. Chapter 438. There was no need to say anything else. With the death of Lien Gumming and the deterrence of Qin Shujian, the Heavenly Corpse sect was in a state of complete collapse. Although a sect had a strong cohesive force that made some people willing to die for the sect. Even if they were willing to die for the sect, they still needed to see hope. Now, Lien Gumming had died. Coupled with the fact that the sect's doctrine artifact had fallen into the hands of Heavenly Corpse Zhang Feng, they no longer had the capital to fight against Yuanzhong. However, there were also people who directly came to the front of Heavenly Corpse Zhang Feng after killing Lien Gumming. They directly knelt down and kowtowed, saying, "Sect Master Zhang, the Heavenly Corpse sect has reached a critical moment of life and death. I hope you can take action and save the sect." However, Heavenly Corpse Zhang Feng stood in place like a statue and did not move at all. After kowtowing for a long time and seeing no reaction, that person wanted to reach out and touch him. However, the moment he reached out and touched Heavenly Corpse Zhang Feng, he saw a cold light flash. That cultivator could not even resist and was decapitated. A pillar of blood shot into the sky. This scene frightened many people. Although Heavenly Corpse Zhang Feng had killed Lien Gumming, there were still some experts of the older generation who pinned their hopes on him. However, with the death of this cultivator, the remaining hope in the hearts of others was directly shattered. Zhang Feng had died 800 years ago. The current Heavenly Corpse Zhang Feng was just a zombie refined by Lien Gumming. He was no longer the sect master of the past. After thoroughly recognizing this fact, some of the experts of the older generation completely gave up. Qin Shujian killed an airborne realm cultivator with a punch and then glanced at the system information. There were also many lists of casualties on it. There were some familiar names as well as some unfamiliar ones. But these were not important. Dying at the hands of the Heavenly Corpse sect meant that there was no possibility of these people being resurrected. Regarding this, Qin Shujian had long been prepared in his heart. There were no wars without casualties. If he wanted the sect to grow and expand, he had to pay the price. He had already seen through all these things. Then, his gaze fell on Heavenly Corpse Zhang Feng, who was standing in place and holding the doctrine artifact of the Heavenly Corpse sect. To tell the truth, Qin Shujian couldn't think of a way to deal with this zombie. When he looked over with his Dharma eyes, Heavenly Corpse Zhang Feng also did not have the so-called providence. In other words, strictly speaking, the other party was not a living being born from the world. Immediately, Qin Shujian thought of some information he had heard before. jump out of the three realms, not within the five elements. I've heard that zombies are immortal and can even transcend the cycle of reincarnation. He had heard this information before, but he didn't have any real evidence, so he just thought about it. The heavenly corpse Jiang Feng seemed to be in a standby state after killing Lian Gumming. Suppressing his curiosity, Qin Shujian decided to ignore the sky corpse for now. Once the heavenly corpse sect was completely destroyed, he would slowly deal with this matter. However, Qin Shujian sensed the intertwining telepathic thoughts in the distance and sneered, "Let's deal with the matter at hand first." Thinking of this, he flew straight into the sky, and then the mighty spiritual deity completely erupted. Terrifying telepathic thoughts swept out in all directions like a wave. Today is a grudge between my sect and the Heavenly Corpse sect. You can watch the battle, but please don't interfere. Otherwise, don't blame me for turning hostile. His voice was mighty, and it directly spread hundreds and thousands of miles. Everyone who heard this voice had a great change in expression. As for the experts of the various sects who were hiding in the dark, they secretly said in their hearts, "Arrogant." However, they only said these words in their hearts. If these people were to say it in person, they still wouldn't have the courage. The Heavenly Corpse sect, which had the battle strength of 2 heavenly beings, was gone. Among the sects present, no one dared to say that they were more tyrannical than the Heavenly Corpse sect. Or rather, many sects might not even be 1/10 of the Heavenly Corpse sect, so what qualifications did they have to clamor with Yuanzong? Therefore, although Qin Shujian's approach seemed arrogant, in fact, he had the capital to be arrogant. Suddenly, someone appeared from the dark and cupped his hands from a distance. "Sect Master Qin, please rest assured. We are only here to watch the battle. We have no intention of interfering. I admire Yuanzong's divine power. Today, Yuanzong destroyed the Heavenly Corpse sect, which is really a blessing. However, I have other matters to attend to, so I won't stay any longer. Goodbye." Another person came out from the dark and cupped his hands. After saying this, he turned and left. Then, the others did the same. If Qin Shujian didn't expose them, it would be fine. Since he had exposed them, if they continued to hide, it would be inevitable that they would be disrespecting him. Therefore, it was better to stand out openly. However, no matter who it was, they didn't stay for long. After standing out, they said a few words politely, then directly cupped their hands and left. There was no other way. Qin Shujian gave them too much pressure. Rather than stay here, it was better to leave. However, it was a pity that such a huge amount of resources of the Heavenly Corpse sect would fall into Yuanzong's hands in the end. There were quite a few people who were secretly envious of this. However, they only envied it and didn't dare to show any thoughts. Qin Shujian looked coldly at these people who appeared one by one and then left one by one. He didn't stop them, nor did he say much. Zhang Ergu came to Qin Shujian's side and looked at those people with eagerness. "Sect leader, they are watching the battle in the dark. They must have some evil thoughts. Why don't we just take action and kill them all?" "You alone?" Qin Shujian glanced at him. This butt-face was a little arrogant now. Zhang Ergu smiled embarrassedly when he heard this. Seeing this, Qin Shujian shook his head slightly and said, "There is no need to take action. It is easy to kill them, but it is not easy to destroy the sect behind them. Now that we have consumed a lot of resources to destroy the Heavenly Corpse sect, it is not suitable for our sect to start another war for the time being." At this point, he looked into the distance and sneered. His voice seemed to have returned to normal. "However, if their sect strikes first, then don't blame me for being ruthless." After that, the figures in the distance who hadn't completely left staggered and almost lost their balance in the air. Go quickly." This was the only thought in the minds of those cultivators. They were very clear. Who was Qin Shujian talking to? If it was before, they wouldn't have thought much of it. However, after destroying the Heavenly Corpse sect, the deterrence of the other party's words was too great. At this moment, Qin Shujian's eyes fell on the battlefield that had shrunk a lot. Then he lowered his body and charged toward the other powerhouses of the Heavenly Corpse sect. Things were much simpler after that. Once the Heavenly Corpse sect was defeated, it would completely collapse. With Qin Shujian's help, No matter if they were at the peak of the divine martial realm or at the early stage of the divine martial realm, as long as they were not at the heavenly human realm, they would die. In this way, the Heavenly Corpse sect had no opponents to contend with at all. Soon, all the powerhouses of the Heavenly Corpse sect who came out to fight, as long as they didn't retreat, were all killed. It wasn't that no one thought of surrendering. It was just that the Origin sect didn't accept surrendering at all. Soon, the news of the sect master's death and the defeat of the sect's powerhouses completely spread throughout the Heavenly Corpse sect's main branch and all the other branches. Immediately, a large number of disciples scattered in all directions. Qin Shujian immediately ordered, "Everyone, go to the various branches of the Heavenly Corpse sect and kill everyone who remains in the branches. In addition, take away all the resources of the branches." "Yes, sir." The other cultivators of the Origin sect all cupped their hands and accepted the order. Everyone's face was more or less filled with excitement. It was easy to imagine how rich the treasures of a top sect were just by thinking about it. Although it was only a branch of the Heavenly Corpse sect, after thousands of years of accumulation, there must be a lot of treasures in the treasury. Although the treasures and resources collected had to be handed over to the sect. However, if there were some extra gains, no one would say anything even if you pocketed them, as long as it wasn't too excessive and obvious. Qin Shujian was also aware of these things. In this regard, he turned a blind eye and didn't restrict them too much. After all, the cultivators in the sect fought with their lives for these cultivation resources. If they didn't get any benefits, then who would be willing to work for you next time? To put it bluntly, the sect was no different from the cold mountain village of the past. At most, one was a force recognized by the world on the surface, while the other was operating in the dark, which was not tolerated by the righteous path. However, benefits were the same everywhere. But you have to be careful. There may be some powerhouses of the Heavenly Corpse sect left in the branches. Be careful not to fall into the gutter. We understand. Soon, the cultivators of the Origin sect scattered and went to the various branches of the Heavenly Corpse sect. Then, Qin Shujian looked at Zhang Ergu and said, "Take some people to the Heavenly Corpse sect's main branch and clean it up. I'll lend you Qin Shanxue for the time being." As he spoke, he had already released the hand holding the hilt. Qin Shanxue floated in the air and flew to Zhang Ergu's side. The Heavenly Corpse sect's main branch was different from others. It was hard to guarantee that there wouldn't be any hidden powerhouses. Although Zhang Ergu had the Qinkuan bow and the cloud-piercing arrow, he was still a little weaker if he encountered a powerhouse at the peak of the divine martial realm. With Qin Shanxue's help, the problem would be a lot smaller. Hearing this, Zhang Ergu immediately accepted the order. Then, he led the remaining Origin sect powerhouses to the Heavenly Corpse sect's main branch. In the same place, only Qin Shujian was left. Apart from that, there was Heavenly Corpse Jiang Feng, who stood motionless like a statue, and the Heavenly Corpse sect's Dao artifact in his hand. However, he didn't immediately do anything to Heavenly Corpse Jiang Feng. Instead, he first went to the location of Liao Gumming's corpse. It hadn't been too long since Liao Gumming died, so everything hadn't been refreshed yet. Qin Shujian was also very curious about what a Heavenly Corpse sect's supreme cultivator would have. Although he wasn't the one who killed Liao Gumming, as long as Liao Gumming was dead, his belongings would still be there. Corpse search. And it was a Heavenly Corpse sect's supreme cultivator. Thinking of this, Qin Shujian was faintly excited. He hadn't searched a corpse for so long that he almost forgot how it felt to do so. He came to the front of Liao Gumming's corpse. His divine sense swept across the corpse, but he didn't find anything. Then, he took the corpse's storage ring and bent down to personally search it. After finally confirming that there was nothing extra, he really got up. It seems that all of Liao Gumming's resources are in this storage ring. Looking at the storage ring in his hand, Qin Shujian immediately used his true essence to force out a little blood, and then directly dripped his blood on it to claim ownership. After Liao Gumming's death, the master recognition mark on the storage ring had disappeared. Therefore, he didn't encounter too many obstacles in reclaiming ownership of the storage ring. After dripping his blood on it to claim ownership, Qin Shujian's divine sense sank into it. Immediately, a huge space directly appeared in his perception. This space was more than 3 times bigger than the storage ring on his hand. It was obviously a real treasure. And the storage ring was also piled with resources. Among them, there were the spirit stones that Qin Shujian had been thinking about. 17 spirit stones. This is a good deal. After seeing the number of spirit stones, he revealed a smile on his face. When he was setting up the array, 12 spirit stones were directly broken, which made him lose a lot. Now that he had obtained 17 spirit stones from the storage ring, he had made a lot of extra money. And this was only a part of the resources in the storage ring. Then, Qin Shujian moved his divine sense again, and in the next second, a token appeared in his hand. You have obtained the Heavenly Corpse Sect Master Token. The system's information came as expected. Looking at the token in his hand, Qin Shujian's eyes flickered. The Heavenly Corpse Sect Master Token. Then, he shook his head slightly and sighed. Unfortunately, this token is not of much use to me now. The Sect Master Token was different from the Novice Village's token. The Novice Village's token contained the luck of the entire Novice Village. As long as the token was integrated, it would directly devour the luck of the entire Novice Village. But the Sect Master Token was different. The Sect Master Token was more of a symbol of identity, and it did not contain any luck. Because any sect had the existence of the sect's most precious treasure. And the luck of the sect was almost all contained in the sect's most precious treasure. As for the Sect Master Token, there was no luck at all. However, if he used the Sect Master Token in his hand, he could indeed become the Sect Master of the Heavenly Corpse Sect. However, for Qin Shujian, he did not need this token at all. The Heavenly Corpse Sect was going to be destroyed by him, so what was the use of the identity of the Sect Master of the Heavenly Corpse Sect? Thinking of this, Qin Shujian casually tossed the sect badge back to him. Then, he came in front of the Heavenly Corpse Jiangfeng. Right now, the biggest problem was the undying zombie that possessed the battle prowess of a celestial being. Heavenly Corpse. Qin Shujian looked at the motionless zombie that was like a sculpture in front of him and thought to himself. To tell the truth, although he knew about the existence of zombies, he did not have a deep understanding of them at all. He did not even know how Lian Gumming controlled the zombie in front of him. Now standing in front of this heavenly corpse, Qin Shujian also had to prevent the zombie from suddenly attacking him. After all, no matter what, this was a monster that killed Lian Gumming, so its strength was evident. To tell the truth, if possible, Qin Shujian did not want to destroy this zombie. It did not have intelligence, but its strength was amazing. Where could he find such a fighter? If the Sky Origin sect had one more heavenly being, then its power would definitely be stronger. Wait, Lian Gumming. Qin Shujian looked at the zombie in front of him, and his expression suddenly changed as he remembered something. Then, his divine sense entered the storage ring that he had just obtained. Since Lian Gumming can refine heavenly corpses, then he must have left behind the method of refining heavenly corpses. Looking at the reaction of the other people in the Heavenly Corpse sect when they saw the Heavenly Corpse, they obviously did not know that the Heavenly Corpse sect had such a method of refining heavenly corpses. In that case, the Heavenly Corpse sect's method of refining heavenly corpses was either passed down from generation to generation, or Lian Gumming accidentally obtained it himself. But no matter what, Lian Gumming must have carried such a precious thing with him, so he must have left it in the storage ring. Qin Shujian's thoughts turned, and his divine sense rummaged through the storage ring at the same time. Not long after, a crystal appeared in his hand. Qin Shujian was no stranger to this kind of crystal. When he first obtained the god-slaying demon-slaying great array, it was also sealed with a crystal like this. After searching through the entire storage ring, there is only one crystal. It might be the method to refine heavenly corpses. Qin Shujian's expression kept changing, and he did not immediately touch the crystal with his divine sense. No one was sure what was inside the crystal. After hesitating for a while, he still could not resist the temptation of controlling heavenly corpses and sent a bit of his divine sense into the crystal. At this moment, Qin Shujian was incomparably vigilant. As long as there was a trace of something wrong, he would immediately cut off this strand of divine sense, making a move to sacrifice the rook to save the king. However, the problem that he expected did not appear. When his divine sense landed, a huge amount of information suddenly surged up. Soon, in Qin Shujian's mind, the system's information appeared. You have learned the special martial art, hidden passage secret technique. Hidden passage secret technique. Looking at the system's information, Qin Shujian softly muttered. Just a moment ago, he had already obtained everything about the hidden passage secret technique. Just as he thought, this was indeed a method to refine corpses. However, in the hidden passage secret technique, there was no method to control and refine heavenly corpses, only the method to control and refine iron corpses. Subsequently, Qin Shujian checked his own attributes and finally found the hidden passage secret technique in the special martial art column. Special martial art, hidden passage secret technique, level 1. Plus, seeing this, he already understood that if he wanted to learn the method to refine or control heavenly corpses, he would need to level up the hidden passage secret technique. Subsequently, Qin Shujian looked at his life force source again. Since the start of the battle, Yuan Zhong had killed many experts from the Heavenly Corpse sect, and his life force source had directly soared to more than 20 million. A part of such a huge life force source came from himself. Come, let's see how much this hidden passage secret technique can improve today. With more than 20 million life force source in his hands, Qin Shujian was not afraid. As he thought this, 10,000 life force sources disappeared, and the hidden passage secret technique instantly transformed from level 1 to level 2. A new wave of information surged from the depths of his mind. Level 2 of the hidden passage secret technique allowed one to refine and control silver corpses. The strongest silver corpses were comparable to the peak of the true martial realm. Seeing that 10,000 life force sources had been consumed, Qin Shujian's heart calmed down. This consumption was much lower than he had expected. Soon, another upgrade occurred. 100,000 life force sources, level 3 of the hidden passage secret technique, golden corpses. 1 million life force sources, level 4 of the hidden passage secret technique, earth corpses. 10 million life force sources, level 5 of the hidden passage secret technique, heavenly corpses. In one breath, Qin Shujian directly upgraded the hidden passage secret technique to level 5 and directly consumed more than 11 million life force sources. After upgrading to level 5, he stopped. It was not that he did not want to continue upgrading, but because he did not have enough life force sources. And when the hidden passage secret technique was upgraded to level 5, Qin Shujian finally got what he wanted: the method to refine and control sky corpses. After digesting all the information, Qin Shujian calmed his mind and then looked at Sky Corpse Jiang Feng in front of him. His throat suddenly moved, and a stream of blood was forced out of his mouth. After the blood was forced out, he was wrapped in true essence and stopped in midair. Subsequently, Qin Shujian's finger was stained with his own blood. As if he had practiced this thousands of times, a rune was formed in midair, and then fell directly on Sky Corpse Jiang Feng's body. Buzz. When the rune fell, the zombie's body shook slightly, but it did not move. Seeing this, Qin Shujian stepped forward. His blood-stained finger was no longer inscribing in midair, but directly writing strange runes on the zombie's body. After a long time, after Qin Shujian finished drawing the last rune, his finger fell on Sky Corpse Jiang Feng's forehead. In an instant, all of the engraved runes seemed to have been activated. They emitted a blood-red glow before quickly concealing themselves. At the same time, a vague connection was born from the zombie in front of him. Seeing this, Qin Shujian took 2 steps back and said, "Take 2 steps to the left and see." After saying this, the Sky Corpse zombie, who had been motionless, turned sideways and took 2 steps to the left. Not 1 step more, not 1 step less. Haha. Seeing this, Qin Shujian could not help but laugh out loud. His voice was full of joy. Successfully controlling the Sky Corpse Jiang Feng meant that Yuan Zhong officially possessed the battle prowess of a sky being, together with his own words as a formation master. At this moment, Yuan Zhong was an existence that could be counted with one's fingers among all the top sections. In this way, there would be fewer sects that could compete with Yuan Zhong. Looking at Sky Corpse Jiang Feng in front of him, Qin Shujian said in a deep voice. Since your name was Jiang Feng when you were alive, then you will be called Jiang Feng in the future. Jiang Feng's tyrannical red eyes flickered a little, but he did not make any move. Qin Shujian did not pay attention to it. Zombies were like this. Rather than a living creature, it was better to call it a killing weapon. In terms of spirituality, it was slightly inferior to spirit weapons and Dao weapons. Give me the long saber in your hand. Chapter 439. Jiang Feng handed over the long saber as instructed. Although the Sky Corpse had low intelligence, it could still understand some simple instructions. Jiang Feng took the long saber in his hand. Qin Shujian could feel the long saber trembling and its strong will to resist. As the Heavenly Corpse Sect's Dao artifact, this saber had been with the Heavenly Corpse Sect for many years and had already formed a strong connection. Now that the Heavenly Corpse Sect was destroyed, the long saber could also feel its sorrow and its own fate. However, no matter how strong its resistance was, Qin Shujian's vital essence sealed it tightly, not giving the long saber a chance to escape or resist. Looking at the three-sealed Dao artifact in his hand, Qin Shujian's eyes also had some regret. Even in the entire Yuan sect, there weren't many Dao artifacts of this level. Every single one of them possessed extraordinary might. If it was possible, he hoped to subdue this Dao artifact and increase the strength of the sect. Unfortunately, now that the Origin sect's luck had reached its peak, if he forcefully subdued this three-sealed Dao artifact, the sect would definitely be promoted to a 6th grade force. Therefore, the thought of subduing the long saber had just arisen in his mind when it was extinguished by Qin Shujian. What a pity! He let out a long sigh, his face full of regret. He could not subdue it. If he subdued it, the Origin sect could be considered to have declined. Moreover, Qin Shujian looked at the hellfire that was still burning the spiritual deity and secretly shook his head again. The hellfire was not extinguished. After all, it was a hidden danger. Although he had used the Heavenly Corpse sect's luck to extinguish a part of the hellfire, the remaining hellfire could not be underestimated. With the special trait of being invulnerable, this level of hellfire could not affect him too much. But what about in the future? If he cut off the luck of others again, when the two overlapped, he would end up being burned by the hellfire again in an instant. Therefore, the hellfire had to be completely extinguished. And the only way to extinguish the hellfire now was to use luck. Since he could not use the luck of the Origin sect, he could only use the luck of other sections. Thinking of this, under the guidance of Qin Shujian's mind, the hellfire that was burning the spiritual deity followed his arm toward the Heavenly Corpse sect's Dao artifact. The moment the hellfire appeared, Jiang Feng also instinctively took 2 steps back, revealing a kind of fear towards the hellfire. Qin Shujian noticed this as well. Could it be that karmic fire is a natural counter to zombies? His heart sank slightly. This was not good news at all. If Jiang Feng was an enemy, it wouldn't be a problem. But now that he was his right-hand man, it wouldn't be good if he had a fatal weakness. However, as for this matter, Qin Shujian only thought about it too much. After all, things like karmic fire were extremely mysterious, and not many people could come into contact with it. It was also at this moment. The karmic fire in his body had already flowed into the long saber through his arm. He used his Dharma eyes to look over. A powerful flame engulfed the Heavenly Corpse sect's green cloud Qilin and incinerated it. He had originally lost a Dao artifact. The Heavenly Corpse sect's luck only dropped from yellow clouds to blue clouds. But with the fall of Lian Gumming, the Heavenly Corpse sect's luck had also declined a little. There were many factors involved in the birth of a sect's providence, but the one that gathered the most providence was the sect's most precious treasure. At this moment, with the refinement of the sect's treasure, the Heavenly Corpse sect's luck had declined again. Light blue, red, light red. It wasn't until the green cloud Qilin transformed into a light red cloud Qilin that the hellfire gradually subsided. Now, the Heavenly Corpse sect's luck had declined to an extremely low level. The Qilin had also become extremely illusory, as if it would collapse at any time. Subsequently, the moment the hellfire dissipated, the Origin sect's yellow cloud Qilin pounced on the Heavenly Corpse sect's Qilin. Originally, they could still contend with each other and not be at a disadvantage. But now, they couldn't even last 2 rounds and were directly torn to pieces by the yellow cloud Qilin. Buzz. When the Heavenly Corpse sect's Qilin died, an invisible wave spread out. All the Heavenly Corpse sect's disciples. At this moment, a sorrowful emotion surged in their hearts. Something seemed to have disappeared from their bodies, and their bodies suddenly became empty. The Heavenly Corpse sect is gone. A disciple who escaped from the Heavenly Corpse sect looked in the direction of the sect's former location and murmured absent-mindedly. As soon as he finished speaking, the few people accompanying him were also startled. Soon after, they revealed a sorrowful expression. That's right, the Heavenly Corpse sect was gone. No one had thought that the Heavenly Corpse sect, which had stood tall in the cultivation world for thousands of years, would be destroyed so easily. Even the celestial experts in the sect would be killed just like that. On the other side, after all the hellfire was extinguished, the Heavenly Corpse sect's treasure also turned into ashes. Then, Qin Shujian dispersed the ashes and looked at Jiang Feng. Come with me. After that, he headed toward the Heavenly Corpse sect's main sect. The greatest foundation of a sect was either in the hands of the sect master or in the main sect. Qin Shujian was more experienced in these matters. Take himself for example. Some of the important things were stored in his own storage ring, but there were also many things piled up in the main sect's warehouse, although there were many precious resources in Lian Gumming's storage ring. These resources could not be considered as the foundation of a top sect. When Qin Shujian and Jiang Feng arrived at the main sect, it caused quite a stir. Sect Master Zhang Ergu looked at Qin Shujian in shock. Or more accurately, he looked at Jiang Feng behind Qin Shujian. If he remembered correctly, this should be a Heavenly Corpse refined by the Heavenly Corpse sect. Just looking at the other party's red and violent eyes, Zhang Ergu had goosebumps all over his body. It was too terrifying. This was the might of the celestial tier. Just a simple look at him made him somewhat unable to bear it. As for the other people of the Heavenly Corpse sect, when they saw Jiang Feng, they instantly became vigilant. If it were not for Qin Shujian, they might have turned around and fled. Heavenly Corpse Jiang Feng. He was the existence that killed the Heavenly Corpse sect's sect master, Lian Gumming. His terrifying strength was seen by everyone before. The scene of Lian Gumming being beaten up. For some people, it could be said that it left a deep impression. After all, no one had ever seen a heavenly being beaten up so miserably. Qin Shujian said, Jiang Feng has been subdued by me. Don't worry. Hiss. Hearing this, other people were shocked in their hearts. Soon, a look of ecstasy appeared on their faces. Sect Master's invincible power is admirable. Zhang Ergu sighed. He knew very well what it meant to subdue Jiang Feng. In this way, the Heavenly Corpse sect would have one more heavenly being expert. Under such circumstances, the strength of the Heavenly Corpse sect would definitely increase greatly. As the elders or deacon disciples of the Heavenly Corpse sect, they would also benefit greatly from the increase in their sect's strength. The most basic thing was that the resources they would obtain would be much more than before. This would be of great benefit to increasing their strength. Just by looking at everyone's faces, Qin Shujian knew what they were thinking. However, he was not interested in talking too much about Jiang Feng now. Instead, he looked at the entire Heavenly Corpse sect. How are the people of the Heavenly Corpse sect being dealt with? The disciples of the Heavenly Corpse sect have either escaped or been killed by us. At this time, there is no one else in the main sect except for the people of our sect. Zhang Ergu replied truthfully. Have you found the treasury of the Heavenly Corpse sect? Not yet. Do your best to find the treasury of the Heavenly Corpse sect. Don't miss anything. Yes. Zhang Ergu and the others respectfully accepted the order. Qin Shujian stood still as he watched the others scatter in search of the treasury. His divine sense spread out like a tide, and it didn't take long before it covered the entire Heavenly Corpse sect's main sect. Under the coverage of his divine consciousness, he searched inch by inch. All of a sudden, Qin Shujian moved his feet. Not long after, he appeared in front of a tall pavilion. As for Jiang Feng, he followed closely behind him. On the plaque, 3 big words were written, Book Collection Pavilion. The handwriting was like dragons and snakes. There was a sharp aura hidden in it. When Qin Shujian's gaze fell on the plaque, he suddenly saw the three words seem to come alive. They turned into a sword and slashed at him. Buzz! A wave of fluctuation spread. Qin Shujian stood with his hands behind his back. A ray of light shot out from his eyes. In an instant, the sword and saber shattered. The three big words on the plaque of the Book Collection Pavilion dissipated like dust when the breeze blew. Without a doubt, the person who left the words in the Book Collection Pavilion was also a strong expert. Immediately, Qin Shujian looked at the Book Collection Pavilion again. The door here was now open. There was no one guarding here. He stepped into it. In the blink of an eye, it was an open space. The bookshelves were filled with countless books. Qin Shujian just scanned with his divine consciousness. Most of the names on the books appeared in his mind. He found, in addition to cultivation methods and martial arts, there were also some unorthodox and strange books. They were all stored here. Just the inventory of the first floor of the Book Collection Pavilion was several streets ahead of Yuanzhong. However, what really caught Qin Shujian's attention was the open space in the Book Collection Pavilion. Before stepping in here, looking from the outside, although the Book Collection Pavilion occupied a large area, the space was definitely not as big as it was now. In fact, he had already noticed a faint space fluctuation around him, as well as the formation pattern engraved in the void. Space array. Qin Shujian was slightly stunned. He did not expect that the Heavenly Corpse sect would set up a space array in the Book Collection Pavilion. After all, to set up a space array, it must be done by an array master. But judging from the situation of the Heavenly Corpse sect, they should have invited other array masters to set up the array. Seeing here, Qin Shujian looked around with interest. The formation pattern that was invisible to others was extremely dazzling in his eyes. He also knew a little about space array. Otherwise, it would be impossible to open a portal in Cold Mountain City. However, opening a teleportation gate was one thing. A formation pattern that simply expanded space was a little different. Yuanzhong was growing stronger day by day. The current Book Collection Pavilion was a little insufficient for the sect, but the Book Collection Pavilion was of great importance and could not be directly demolished. Seeing the space expansion formation of the Heavenly Corpse sect's Book Collection Pavilion, Qin Shujian had a different idea. He found, as long as he studied this set of formation thoroughly, then he could go back and do the same. That would be enough. Then, Qin Shujian's mind calmed down. With the strength of a peak array master, it was not difficult to study such a formation pattern. However, no matter how simple it was still a master-level method. It would take some time to fully comprehend it. About 10 minutes passed. Qin Shujian's divine consciousness returned to his body. When he looked at the expanded space around him again, the corners of his mouth were already revealing a smile. The person who set up this space array should be a new array master. However, the storage of array resources is extremely rich. I wonder who did it. A thought appeared in his mind. Then, he shook his head and spread out his divine consciousness. Like a big hand, it grabbed all the books on the bookshelf. Then, he threw them into the storage ring. Soon, the original storage ring was all piled up. But in the entire first floor of the Book Collection Pavilion, there were still nearly half of the books that had not been put in. Seeing here, Qin Shujian sighed again. The foundation of a top sect for thousands of years is really amazing. Just the Book Collection Pavilion alone is not something that other sects can compare to. Compared to the Heavenly Corpse sect, Yuanzhong was completely defeated in this matter. Fortunately, Qin Shujian did not only have a storage ring, but also the huge storage ring that he had seized from Lian Gumming. Not long after, all the books on the first floor of the Book Collection Pavilion were emptied by him. Then, Qin Shujian entered the second floor of the Book Collection Pavilion. Like the first floor, the second floor was also set up with a space array. The area was not smaller than the first floor. But on the other hand, there were much fewer books placed on the second floor. When he scanned with his divine consciousness, all the books here were cultivation techniques and martial arts. As for the first floor, there was not a single book. Same method, same emptying. When all the books on the second floor were taken away, Lian Gumming's storage ring was also filled to the brim. He put the storage ring on his finger. Qin Shujian took out the third storage ring and stepped onto the third floor of the book collection pavilion. In less than an hour, he had already walked through the entire book collection pavilion. When he came out, he had a total of 5 storage rings on his hand. At the same time, the other people of the Yuan sect also found the Heavenly Corpse sect's treasury. Rumble. Shocking fluctuations came as if there was an intense battle. In front of a treasury, many people stopped in their tracks. What stopped them was not some other powerhouse, but a powerful defensive formation. Zhang Ergu held the Qinkuan Bao and attacked the array with the help of the Qianshan blood. But he did not see any hope of breaking the array. This tortoise shell is too hard. He did not have the energy to complain about the array in front of him. With 2 3-seal Dao artifacts, even a peak divine martial realm cultivator would be able to defeat him. But now, it could not do anything to the array. Boom! Another lightning saber slashed down, accompanied by a shocking arrow. The entire defensive formation emitted an intense light, and the spiritual energy of heaven and earth was immediately drawn over. The formation, which was originally on the verge of collapse, recovered to its original state. Huff! Zhang Ergu was panting. He used all his strength to activate the 3-seal Dao artifact without stopping. The true Yuan in his body could not continue. What's going on? Qin Shujian flew over and landed beside Zhang Ergu. Seeing the arrival of his sect master, Zhang Ergu's expression relaxed. Then, he said awkwardly, "Sect master, this is the treasury of the Heavenly Corpse sect. Unfortunately, there's an array protecting it. We can't break it in a short time." A Grandmaster-level defensive array. Qin Shujian saw through the array at a glance. Then, he shook his head and said, "It won't be easy to break this array unless one has the strength of a heavenly being." From the spatial array in the library, he knew that the Heavenly Corpse sect had invited a formation Grandmaster to set up the array. Now that there was an additional Grandmaster-level defensive formation in the treasury, it was naturally not a surprising thing. To break a Grandmaster-level array, either one had to have the strength of a heavenly being or break the array with an array. Although Qin Shujian's strength was comparable to a peak divine martial realm cultivator, he was only at the peak divine martial realm. Even with a Dao artifact, he could not break through this threshold. However, Qin Shujian looked back at Zhang Feng and said, "Go, break this array in front of you." After that, a tyrannical aura suddenly erupted from Zhang Feng's body. When he took a step forward, the ground instantly cracked, and the entire mountain peak of the main sect seemed to shake. Then, under the horrified eyes of Zhang Ergu and the others, a punch blasted towards the defensive formation. Boom! There was a loud noise, and a powerful fluctuation spread out. When Qin Shujian stepped back, he casually set up a simple array to cover the fluctuation and prevent it from spreading out. The Grandmaster-level defensive array shook violently. It took Zhang Feng's punch head-on. Such a powerful force had already shaken the array pattern. Then, Zhang Feng's attack did not stop. He punched the array again and again, and the terrible power of the Heavenly Corpse sect was completely vented. As for the shock waves that spread out, they were firmly isolated by the array set up by Qin Shujian. Every time the array was broken, Qin Shujian would casually set up another array to suppress the spread of the shock waves. A quarter of an hour passed. That defensive array formation of the treasure vault was finally broken with a loud bang under Zhang Feng's one punch. Seeing this, Qin Shujian removed the array, and then let Zhang Feng take the lead to open the door of the treasure vault, and he and others followed in. This is the treasure vault of the Heavenly Corpse sect. Hiss. After entering the treasure vault, many of the Yuan sect's cultivators were stunned. From time to time, some of them gasped, as if they were shocked by the scene in front of them. Materials, casting materials, and alchemy materials were neatly placed on the shelves. With their eyesight, they could naturally see that all the materials were at least at the 6th level. In addition to that, incalculable gold, silver, and jewelry were all piled up and thrown away like garbage. There were also a large number of weapons and armors neatly placed. Someone picked up one of the weapons and suddenly cried out, "Spiritual weapon! These are all spiritual weapons!" Hearing this, Li Changsho said. Everyone's expression changed abruptly. Spiritual weapon. As far as the eye could see, the number of spiritual weapons was probably a little too much. At this time, Qin Shujian was also shocked by the Heavenly Corpse sect's inventory. But on second thought, it didn't take too long. No matter what, the Heavenly Corpse sect was a top sect that had been around for thousands of years. The resources in the treasure vault were extremely rich. Now, there seemed to be a lot of spiritual weapons, but in the face of thousands of years of accumulation, it was considered normal. After suppressing the joy in his heart, Qin Shujian said, "Take everything in the treasure vault. Don't leave anything behind." In fact, Qin Shujian didn't need to say anything. The people of the Yuan sect knew what to do. Then, Qin Shujian walked to the front of the treasure vault, where there were more than a dozen spiritual weapons. After he walked in, activating his Dharma eye, he found that the so-called spiritual weapons were not the kind that were artificially refined, but innate spiritual objects that had the effect of suppressing luck. Seeing this, Qin Shujian directly put away these innate spiritual objects. It could be seen. The Heavenly Corpse sect collected so many innate spiritual objects so that one day, when the spiritual objects were upgraded, they could have a few more Dao weapons. But for Qin Shujian, the Yuan sect didn't lack Dao weapons now, nor did they need more innate spiritual objects that could suppress luck. Therefore, in his eyes, these connate spiritual objects were actually existences equivalent to luck. Not long after, someone came to Qin Shujian and said in a deep voice, "Sect Master, we don't have enough space in our storage rings." Not enough space? Qin Shujian turned around and looked at the treasure vault that still had more than half of it. He immediately frowned. He never thought that one day he would be troubled by the lack of space in his storage rings. Everyone, tidy up your storage rings and take the valuable treasures first. As for the gold and silver, you can put them aside. At this point, he then took out the remaining 3 storage rings from his bosom and used his divine thought to store a lot of things into them. At this moment, Qin Shujian was also a little grateful to Xiaohong. The Marquis of Baiyun was a big family, and every time they brought something for him, they would leave the storage rings behind. This caused him to have a lot of storage rings on him. Originally, Qin Shujian had planned to put some of them in the sect, but he forgot to do so because he was busy. Until now, he just realized the benefits of carrying a few more storage rings with him. On the other side, Zhang Ergu and the others also listened to Qin Shujian's instructions and took the lead to collect the valuable treasures and then threw away the less valuable ones. But it didn't take long for the storage rings to be full. Seeing that there were still a lot of things, Zhang Ergu tilted his head and asked, "Sect Master, what should we do with the rest of the things?" "Destroy them." Qin Shujian shook his head. It was impossible to take them away, but if he left them behind, the Yuan sect wouldn't be a kind person. The most appropriate thing to do was to destroy all the things that he didn't take away. If he couldn't get it, no one else could. Chapter 440. The Red Lotus of Purgation burned. It swallowed up the entire treasury. Even the Red Lotus of Purgation, a 9th-tier casting material, could quickly melt it. How could the remaining things in the treasury compare to a 9th-tier casting material in terms of hardness? Soon, the entire treasury was burned clean by the Red Lotus of Purgation. From the outside world, the original location of the treasury had turned into nothingness, and there was no trace of its existence. The scene in front of them, it did not surprise the people of Yuan sect too much. Then, Qin Shujian opened his Dharma eye again and observed the entire Heavenly Corpse sect's main mountain bit by bit. No one knew what he was looking for. The evolved Dharma eye also had all the abilities of the previous spiritual eye. It did not take long. He locked onto a location, then flew into the air and went directly to the side of the mountain. Then, he ordered Jiang Feng, "Blast this place open." After receiving the order, Jiang Feng punched out, and the power of the celestial realm erupted. The entire mountain shook violently, and a huge pit had already appeared at the mountainside. Dense cracks had already spread out in all directions. With the appearance of the pit, a strong wave of spiritual energy suddenly burst out. Qin Shujian did not let Jiang Feng attack this time. Instead, He took the 1,000 mountain blood himself, and then used a blade aura that was dozens of feet long to slash at the location of the pit. Rumble. The mountain collapsed, and then, under the horrified gazes of others, it directly broke and collapsed. From the outside world, they only saw that the towering mountain that had stood for thousands of years suddenly broke, and like a palace falling from the sky, it smashed toward the ground. The mountain fell. The force was hundreds of millions of caddies. In an instant, the earth shook, and the mountains shook. This strong vibration could be felt in 1,000 miles radius. Such an unforeseen event attracted the attention of many people. When the other cultivators saw the broken mountain, they all wondered if they had seen wrongly. They all rubbed their eyes and then looked again. So ruthless. It's not enough to kill, but to destroy the sect and even dig out the foundation of the Heavenly Corpse sect. When the other cultivators saw this, they didn't even need to get close to know who was the culprit. As for some of the Heavenly Corpse sect's disciples who had yet to completely evacuate, grief filled their hearts when they saw that the main sect's mountain peak had been destroyed. But there was nothing they could do. With the Heavenly Corpse sect's current battered army, what could they use to fight Yuanzhong? On the other side, as the mountain peak broke apart, it also shocked the other people in Yuan's sect. Qin Shujian, on the other hand, had arrived at what used to be the mountainside, but was now the mountaintop. There, it was a jade-like vein. A huge amount of heaven and earth spirit chi was overflowing from the jade mine. Spirit stone load. Qin Shujian was surprised at first, but then he smiled. As a top sect, how could the Heavenly Corpse sect not have buried spirit stones to improve the earth veins? Now that he had shaved off the mountain peak, he finally found the place where the Heavenly Corpse sect buried their spirit stones. However, what surprised Qin Shujian was that not only were their spirit stones buried in the Heavenly Corpse sect's mountain gate, but because too much time had passed, the spirit stones had developed into a vein, and the surrounding areas that were originally ordinary stones had been assimilated into jade. These jade stones, they also stored heaven and earth spirit chi for people to absorb and refine. However, unlike spirit stones, the spirit chi in these jade stones would not recover on its own once it was depleted. It was a one-time consumable. However, for Qin Shujian, these jade stones were all good things to carry the array carving. They were also needed for the sect's inheritance. It could be said that spirit stones were precious, and so were the accompanying jade stones. Qin Shujian did not hesitate too much. He used the 1,000 mountain blood and directly dug out the entire spirit stone load. When his divine thoughts scanned it, the number of spirit stones contained in the spirit stone load was also clear. 36 spirit stones. Qin Shujian secretly took a breath, and the smile on his face became even brighter. 36 spirit stones. This harvest was not ordinary. Looking at the accompanying jade stones, there were at least 2,000 to 3,000 kilograms, which were also valuable. Then, he threw out some of the less valuable things in the storage ring, and then put the spirit stone load into it. Immediately, the red lotus of purgation refined and destroyed all the things he threw out. At this point, all the resources of the Heavenly Corpse sect had been plundered clean. When his divine thoughts spread out again, in his perception, the Heavenly Corpse sect had not left anything valuable. In this regard, Qin Shujian did not stay any longer. Summon the elders who went to the various branches. It's time for us to go back. The message was sent out. Soon, there was a response. Immediately, the people of the Yuan sect directly withdrew, leaving only the ruins of the Heavenly Corpse sect. Half a day later, finally, the cultivators of the other sects came to the mountain gate of the Heavenly Corpse sect. This is really plucking the feathers of a goose. Nothing is left. Some cultivators walked around the Heavenly Corpse sect, and in the end, they had to admit that the Yuan sect did not leave anything useful. Some cultivators shook their heads and said, "The Heavenly Corpse sect has been passed down for thousands of years, but now it has been destroyed. Who could have predicted such a thing?" The Heavenly Corpse sect is gone, and Southwind Prefecture has lost the suppression of a top sect. I'm afraid it will cause a lot of waves. Destroying the mountain gate and digging out the Spirit Stone Foundation. The Yuan sect has completely cut off the legacy of the Heavenly Corpse sect. I'm afraid the remaining people of the Heavenly Corpse sect will not have it easy. Among the cultivators who came, everyone's expression was different. The Heavenly Corpse sect was gone. The consequences were both bad and bad. The bad was that Southwind Prefecture had lost the suppression of a top sect. Compared to the other prefectures, its strength was weaker. If the cultivators of the other prefectures reached in, it would not be so easy for them to resist. As for the benefits, it was obvious. As a top sect, the Heavenly Corpse sect controlled a lot of resources. When the Heavenly Corpse sect was still around, no one could interfere with these resources. However, now that the Heavenly Corpse sect was gone, the industries and territories that the Heavenly Corpse sect originally controlled had become ownerless. The foundation of a top sect. In addition to the resources in the sect, the industries under its control were also rich resources. Now that the Heavenly Corpse sect was gone, the other sects also saw the opportunity to divide the Heavenly Corpse sect. Even if the many sects divided the resources of a top sect that had been operating for thousands of years, they would still be able to eat a mouthful of oil. In the past, when the Heavenly Corpse sect was still around, they revered the Heavenly Corpse sect like a snake and did not dare to do anything strange. However, now that the Heavenly Corpse sect was gone, they turned into hungry wolves and fiercely pounced on the corpses of their prey. At the same time, the news of the Heavenly Corpse sect's destruction swept through the cultivation world of the great Zhao 13 prefectures like a gust of wind. The Heavenly Corpse sect is gone. Mu Liang's hand that was holding the teacup trembled. He looked at the elder who had returned below with a face full of shock. To tell the truth, the news of the Heavenly Corpse sect's destruction was something that he had never thought would happen. After the shock, Mu Liang looked at the elder and asked in a serious voice, "What happened when the two sects went to war?" He did not believe that the Heavenly Corpse sect would be defeated. Even if the Heavenly Corpse sect was defeated, the probability of Lien Gumming, a celestial being, dying was not high. After all, how could a celestial being be killed so easily? If the Sky Origin sect had the strength to kill Lien Gumming and destroy the Heavenly Corpse sect, did that mean that they also had the strength to destroy the Heavenly Array sect? Thinking of this, Mu Liang was a little uneasy again. Then, the elder answered everything truthfully. Then, he took out a jade stone and handed it over. I have recorded everything on the image transmission jade stone. Please take a look, Sect Master. The image transmission jade stone was similar to the image transmission jade pendant, but the former was more complete. Hearing this, Mu Liang took out the image transmitting jade stone and used his spiritual force on it, digesting all the information recorded inside. After a long time, the image transmission jade stone shattered and turned into powder that slipped through the gaps between his fingers. Mu Liang sat in his original position and did not recover for a long time. Right now, he was completely shocked by what was recorded in the image transmitting jade. Even though he was the sect master of the Heavenly Array sect and was used to seeing great storms, he was still not immune to it. Heavenly Corpse Jiangfeng, Lien Gumming. To be honest, Mu Liang had never thought that the Heavenly Corpse sect would have two celestial beings. But even so, the Heavenly Corpse sect was still destroyed by the Sky Origin sect, especially the death of Lien Gumming, which was full of strange things. He couldn't help but shudder at the thought of such an invisible and untouchable but deadly method. Even if Qin Shujian suppressed Lien Gumming with absolute strength, Mu Liang would not have too many emotions. At most, he would be in awe of the other party's strength. But now, Lien Gumming's death was unclear, and a sense of fear rose in him. It was a sense of fear of the unknown. However, Mu Liang was the sect master of the Heavenly Array sect. Although he was shocked, he still maintained a calm appearance. After a long time, he slowly opened his mouth and said, "I already know about the Heavenly Corpse sect. Regarding the Yuan Pavilion, no one is allowed to act without my orders." "We understand." The elders of the Heavenly Array sect nodded. Even without Mu Liang's instructions, they knew what to do now. The Heavenly Corpse sect was strong enough, but it was still destroyed by the Sky Origin sect. Although they were all top sects, there were differences in strength. The Heavenly Array sect was weaker than the Heavenly Corpse sect. If the Sky Origin sect attacked, the the Heavenly Array sect would not be a match at all. After passing down the order to not attack the Yuan Pavilion for the time being, Mu Liang immediately got up and walked towards Fang Xinglan's residence. Just as he arrived in front of the courtyard and was about to knock on the door, a calm voice came from inside. "Come in." Mu Liang put down his hand and pushed the door open. In the courtyard, a tall figure was brewing spiritual tea in front of a stone table with his back facing him. "Martial uncle, sect master, I wonder what brings you here today?" Fang Xinglan's hands did not stop moving as he spoke unhurriedly. Mu Liang said, "The Heavenly Corpse sect was destroyed." After saying that, Fang Xinglan's hand paused for a moment before he recovered. The Heavenly Corpse sect has a second heavenly being. The previous sect master, Jiang Feng, was refined into a heavenly corpse. But under such circumstances, the Heavenly Corpse sect was still defeated. Fang Xinglan is dead, and Jiang Feng has been taken away by Qin Shujian. Bang! Fang Xinglan's tea set fell heavily on the stone table and turned into powder in an instant. However, he did not care about this at all. Instead, he turned and stared at Mu Liang with a solemn expression. "Lian Gumming is really dead. Dead." After receiving Mu Liang's confirmation, Fang Xinglan's expression finally changed. Subsequently, Mu Liang passed on all the information he received to Fang Xinglan. Now that the Sky Origin sect had destroyed the Heavenly Corpse sect, its momentum could be said to be like the sun in the sky. He was not confident that the Heavenly Array sect could deal with the Sky Origin sect. He still had to discuss this matter with Fang Xinglan. After hearing Mu Liang's words, Fang Xinglan sat on the spot and closed his eyes, as if he was digesting something. After a long time, he opened his eyes. There was a hint of sharpness in his bright eyes. To be able to kill a heavenly being, Qin Shujian's strength is definitely not that simple. From now on, stop your actions against the Sky Origin sect. My Heavenly Array sect cannot be the first to stand out. I have already passed down the order for this matter. Mu Liang nodded. He had already expected Fang Xinglan's words and had already made an emergency plan. But the existence of the Sky Origin sect has always harmed the interests of our sections. If we allow the Sky Origin sect to flourish, then the influence of the Sky Origin sect will expand day by day. Our sect will not have the qualifications to compete with them. This was also what he was worried about. As the Sky Origin sect grew stronger, the influence of the Sky Origin sect would also expand. At that time, the Sky Origin sect would be the leader of all the rogue cultivators in the world. Moreover, if rogue cultivators obtained superior cultivation techniques and martial arts, it would also weaken the power of the sect. In a short period of time, this disadvantage would not be revealed. But after a few decades or hundreds of years, then rogue cultivators in the cultivation world were destined to bloom. At that time, the situation of the sect would be very awkward. Fang Xinglan said, "The matter of the Sky Origin sect is already irreversible. Unless other top sects are willing to join forces to deal with the Sky Origin sect, no one can stop the Sky Origin sect's actions." The Heavenly Corpse sect had already been destroyed. The strength of the Sky Origin sect was shocking. In particular, Qin Shujian had taken Jiang Feng away. It was very likely that he had found a way to subdue the Heavenly Corpse. In this way, the Sky Origin sect would have one more heavenly being expert. In all the top sects, there were already very few who could stand shoulder to shoulder with such strength. Unless other top sects joined forces, otherwise, it was impossible for one or two sects to compete with the Sky Origin sect. However, it was easier said than done if they wanted to join forces. Not to mention anything else. Every sect had a lot of friction in the dark. If they were to deal with the Sky Origin sect, it meant that they would have to face Qin Shujian and Jiang Feng directly. If they were not careful, it might cause a great loss. No matter who it was, no one would want to bear such a loss. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. This was something that happened from time to time in the cultivation world. No sect would be willing to sacrifice themselves to make a wedding dress for others. Martial uncle, what do you think we should do? Since the matter of the Sky Origin sect cannot be reversed, although the individual cultivators are not strong, their numbers are much more than the sections. Such a force is not weak. Our Sky Array sect cannot just give up. Martial Uncle, what do you mean? Since the Sky Origin sect has opened the Sky Origin sect, we can also open a second Sky Origin sect. If the individual cultivators cannot be suppressed, then we can turn this force into our own. In this way, our Sky Array sect will not be a bad thing. Feng Xinglan said indifferently. He also knew how great the benefits behind the Sky Origin sect were. But as the first person to eat the crab, they must be qualified to bear the pressure from all sides. Just like the Sky Origin sect now. When the Sky Origin sect was first opened, the 53 sects, led by the Heavenly Corpse sect, had directly resisted. If the Sky Origin sect was not strong enough, then the Sky Origin sect would have been destroyed in the tide. But it was different now. Yuan Zhong had withstood this wave, and even managed to push it back. At this time, if the Sky Array sect followed the Sky Origin sect's approach, then there would be no more problems. Feng Xinglan believed that there were many sects that could see the benefits behind the Sky Origin sect. Perhaps after this matter, there would be many forces that would learn from the Sky Origin sect. In this way, it was very important to seize the opportunity first. Mu Liang, who was at the side, heard this and fell into deep thought. He could also understand some of Feng Xinglan's words. In the cultivation world, the number of individual cultivators had always been the largest. To put it bluntly, although individual cultivators were not strong, in a huge group, they were destined to have huge benefits. It was just that there had always been a lot of friction between the sects and individual cultivators. Coupled with the need to curb the development of individual cultivators, even if many sects saw this benefit, no one dared to risk universal condemnation and break this thin layer. But it was different now. The sharp knife that was the Sky Origin sect was the first to break this thin layer. Everything was laid out in the open. As for some sects that still had the idea of sweeping away their own treasures, there was no way to stop it. Unless this sect thought that it was stronger than the Sky Corp sect, and much stronger. Otherwise, they would have to pinch their nose and accept it. Thinking of this, Mu Liang nodded and said, I already understand Martial Uncle's meaning. Then our sect should also start to prepare. At least we can't let other sects take the lead. The Sky Origin sect's position as a top sect was because of the existence of Qin Shujian. In fact, the Sky Origin sect's overall strength was much weaker than the top sects and somewhat unworthy of the name. Then, when the news of the Sky Corp sect's destruction spread, it could be said that the Sky Origin sect's position as a top sect had been completely established. Similarly, as a top sect, the Sky Corp sect's foundation and strength were among the best among all the sections a foundation of thousands of years. It was enough to shake off many sects by a large margin. Even if they were all top sects, none of them had the confidence to destroy the Heavenly Corp sect. But it was different now. The Sky Origin sect had destroyed the Sky Corp sect. No matter what method they used, it proved that the Sky Origin sect had the capital to destroy a top sect. In particular, the news of Qin Shujian's return with Jiang Feng could not be hidden from others. All of a sudden, many cultivators knew that the Sky Origin sect had not only destroyed the Sky Corp sect, but also completely subdued a Sky Corpse of the Sky Corp sect. As a result, it caused a huge sensation. Zongyang City, Marquis Baiyun's mansion. Sky Corpse Jiang Feng. Marquis Baiyun played with a piece of jade in his hand with a slight smile on his face. He also received the news of the Sky Corp sect's destruction as soon as possible. It was related to the battle between two top sects, so it was impossible for the Imperial Court to not care at all. And the Sky Origin sect was a top sect in the Baiyun mansion, so Marquis Baiyun would definitely make a move. When the other sects sent people to watch the battle, he also sent people to watch the battle. However, from the beginning to the end, Marquis Baiyun's people did not reveal any clues. After the Sky Origin sect destroyed the Sky Corp sect, they quietly retreated and passed the news back. Marquis Baiyun was not too surprised by the fall of Lian Gumming. What really surprised him was Qin Shujian's strange method. Also, there was Lian Gumming's method of refining Jiang Feng into a Sky Corpse. The former was strange, and the latter was not ordinary. Although Marquis Baiyun was knowledgeable, he was not omniscient and had a strong interest in these things. Marquis, now that the Sky Origin sect has destroyed the Sky Corp sect, There is no other sect that can suppress the development of the Yuan Pavilion. Li Guang'an cupped his hands and said, if this continues, the Sky Origin sect will definitely win the hearts of the itinerant cultivators in the world. When the time comes, when the sect becomes stronger, I'm afraid it will have a great impact on the imperial court. Exalted elderly, aren't you exaggerating? Before Marquis Bayun could say anything, someone had already refuted. Su Mingyang raised his eyelids and casually glanced at him. Then, he sat up straight and looked at Marquis Bayun with cupped hands. Marquis, itinerant cultivators are mostly unscrupulous people. Although the Sky Origin sect's move can have a great impact, it is just an exaggeration to win the hearts of the itinerant cultivators in the world. Speaking of this, he looked at Li Guang'an again and smiled faintly. Moreover, since the establishment of the Sky Origin sect, it has been cooperating with the imperial court. The demons in the Bayun mansion were personally killed by Qin Shujian to avoid the hidden dangers caused by the demon disaster. Seriously speaking, there are not many sects like the Sky Origin sect that are on the side of the imperial court. I have my own plans for this. Marquis Bayun did not show any attitude and only replied calmly. After the scene calmed down, he spoke again. The opening of the Yuan Pavilion will indeed have a great impact, but the other sects will not sit still and wait for death. I think it will not be long before the sects will open a place like the Yuan Pavilion. At that time, the influence of the Sky Origin sect will naturally be divided. Therefore, there is no need to talk too much about this matter. It is not suitable for the Bayun mansion to have too many troubles. Everything should be stable. Yes. Hearing this, the others did not dare to say anything and only cupped their hands to accept the order. Then, Marquis Bayun waved his hand and dismissed all of them. He sat in his original position and fell into deep thought. To be honest, the way the Sky Origin sect opened the Yuan Pavilion was also beyond his expectations. However, he did not have any thoughts of organizing it. Just as the voice had said, the world was constantly evolving and would connect with the demon abyss sooner or later. If one wanted to stop the great calamity from happening, one was to block the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, cut off the cultivation heritage of the world, and let the world completely enter the age of chaos. The other was to increase the strength of the world's cultivators so that they would have the capital to fight against the demons. The Sky Origin sect's current approach was in line with the second option. Compared to the unrealistic former, although the latter had a slim hope, it was at least more possible. Chapter 441. Liang Mountain Spiritual Region. The battle at Nanfeng Mansion could be said to be a complete victory. Although there were many experts from Yuanzhong who had fallen in this battle, the losses were still within an acceptable range compared to the gains. After returning to Yuan's sect, Qin Shujian ordered someone to custom-make a black robe and hood for Jiang Feng, which completely covered the zombie's entire body, not revealing any clues. After that, there was one less sky zombie Jiang Feng in the world, and one more black-robed Jiang Feng, who sat in front of the mountain gate like a dead tree, not moving all year round. Who was this black-robed man? I don't know. I think the sect master brought him back. Many Yuan sect disciples looked curiously at Jiang Feng, who was sitting cross-legged beside the mountain gate stone tablet. His face could not be seen clearly, and he did not move at all. The news of refining ancient Ming into a sky zombie was only spread among the upper echelons of the sect. As for the other disciples, they were not qualified to come into contact with this level. As for the players, at this stage, they were not part of the upper echelons of the sect, so naturally, no one knew. Lu Bai glanced at Jiang Feng, then turned to look at the player beside him. Do you think this could be a hidden NPC with a mission on him? That might not be the case. Hearing his words, the player beside him nodded in agreement. Then, the two of them looked at each other. In the end, Lu Bai coughed softly, then stepped forward and asked, I am an elite disciple of the sect. May I ask how I can help Senior? He pondered for a moment before saying these words. After saying these words, Jiang Feng's body did not move, as if he was dead. Senior? Lu Bai tried to call out again, but there was no effect. Seeing this, a hesitant look appeared on his face as he pondered what to do next. Soon, Lu Bai changed his way of asking. However, no matter what he said, Jiang Feng remained motionless as usual. After a long time, Lu Bai finally gave up trying to persuade Jiang Feng and finally left with the other person helplessly. However, he firmly remembered this black-robed man in his heart. The more mysterious an NPC was, the more extraordinary his background was. Lu Bai instinctively felt that there might be some hidden mission on Jiang Feng. After they left, many more players came over. They all wanted to get close to Jiang Feng and see if they could get some big quests. But without exception, all of them were defeated. Very soon, in Yuan Sect, there was news that there was a hidden quest NPC at the mountain gate. For this reason, it attracted even more players. On the other side, inside the Chengwu Hall, including Qin Shujian, all the higher-ups of Yuan Sect were gathered here. Compared to the depressing atmosphere of declaring war on the Heavenly Corpse Sect, the current atmosphere was much livelier. Everyone had a pleasant smile on their faces. Clearly, many people were satisfied with the harvest this time. Qin Shujian looked at Su Yuanming and said, "Elder Su, tell me about your harvest this time." All this while, Su Yuanming had been the logistics elder. All the miscellaneous matters of Yuan Sect, big and small, were related to him. With the establishment of the Sundry Hall, he had taken over many things in a legitimate manner. This time, after the Heavenly Corpse Sect brought their spoils back to the Yuan Sect, they handed them over to Su Yuanming and asked him to tally them up. Immediately, the scene fell silent. Su Yuanming got up, cupped his hands, and sat down. Then he opened his mouth and said, "This time, we destroyed the Heavenly Corpse Sect, and the harvest is indeed not bad. Let's start with the martial arts." He paused for a moment to organize his words. 1 eminent divinity technique, 13 high-grade divinity techniques, 36 mid-grade ones, 78 low-grade ones, 176 high-grade ones, 227 mid-grade ones, and 582 low-grade ones, 2 transcendence martial arts, 26 high-grade divine martial arts, 41 mid-grade martial arts, 98 low-grade martial arts, 235 high-grade spirit martial arts, 333 mid-grade martial arts, and 669 low-grade martial arts. There are a total of 7,826 cultivation methods and martial arts below the spiritual level. Boom. As soon as Su Yuanming finished speaking, the scene suddenly became noisy. Everyone knew that the Heavenly Corpse Sect had a rich foundation, but they did not expect it to be so rich. Especially the divine level cultivation method and the divine level martial arts, which attracted their attention. What was the divine level? Above the divine level was the divine level. If a divine level cultivation method could be cultivated to the perfection of the divine martial realm, then a divine level cultivation method could be cultivated to the diviner level. Any divinity realm cultivation method was the true inheritance of a top-notch sect. The Origin School was also a top sect now, but that was because of the existence of Qin Shujian. If they lost a formation master like Qin Shujian, the Origin School would fall from the altar of a top sect, and it would be very difficult for them to regain their position. The reason for this was the problem of inheritance. A diviner expert could protect a sect's glory for thousands of years, but a complete inheritance could allow a sect to maintain its glory. The Origin School now had a divine-level cultivation method, which explained this. The others in the Origin School also had a chance to reach the diviner level through this method. Although not everyone could break through to the diviner level with the cultivation method, it was still possible. But at least it was the key to opening the door to the diviner level and a glimmer of hope. Just this point alone, it was enough to form a strong bond with the hearts of the people in the sect. Even people like Zheng Feng and Xiang Haogan, who had a steady mentality, couldn't help but look surprised. Although they hadn't even reached the peak of the divine martial realm, it was still too early to talk about the diviner level. But no one thought that they didn't have a chance to reach the diviner level. As long as they were given a key, anyone would be willing to give it a try. Even Qin Shujian's heart was stirred by the news. Maybe he didn't need a divine-level cultivation method, but a divine-level martial art was still useful. The most powerful martial art he had now was the divine-level mid-grade Great Wilderness Demon Suppression Seal, which had already been transformed into the true meaning of sealing. Although this martial art was only a mid-grade divine level martial art, it could still allow him to unleash his strength to the maximum. If he could upgrade the divine level martial art, Qin Shujian was sure that his strength would definitely rise to another level. As for the remaining divine level and spiritual level cultivation methods and martial arts, as well as those below the spiritual level, they were 10 times or even 100 times more than what the Origin School had now. If they could fill the library with this batch of storage, then the entire Origin School's foundation would increase exponentially. The strength of a sect, apart from the number of experts, also played a huge role in the strength of the sect's legacy. Qin Shujian believed. Now that this batch of cultivation methods and martial arts were filled in the library, then the problem of exchanging from the various Yuan pavilions would no longer be a problem. Inside the inherited martial hall, now, there was a lot of discussion. Fu Gang immediately said, "Sect Master, our branch has never opened a library. If the disciples want to comprehend cultivation methods and martial arts, they have to go to the main sect. It will inevitably be inconvenient. I hope to open a place to store cultivation methods and martial arts in the branch. This way, the disciples in our branch will have more time to cultivate." Regarding this idea, there had always been elders in the branch. It was just that there wasn't much stock in the main sect's library. If it was distributed to the various branches, then it would be even less. Therefore, no one had opened their mouth. But it was different now. With the support of the Heavenly Corpse sect stock, Fu Gang dared to open his mouth. Just as he finished speaking, Zheng Hong also nodded and said, "Elder Fu's words are true. Although we are a branch, we should have a place to inherit cultivation methods and martial arts. Otherwise, it would not be perfect. It's not impossible to build a library in the various branches, but after today, we will make a specific decision," Qin Shujian said calmly. Then, he looked at Su Yuanming and used his eyes to signal him to continue speaking. "I won't say much about the materials for refining pills and weapons. These have all been put in the sect's treasury. Apart from that, we've seized 25 high-grade spiritual weapons, 73 middle-grade spiritual weapons, 266 low-grade spiritual weapons, and 5,876 low-grade spiritual weapons. As for spiritual weapons of the 3rd grade and above, we've seized 5,876 spiritual weapons. There are also 36 spiritual stones and 2,700 kilograms of accompanying jade." Su Yuanming listed out the harvest as if he was very familiar with it. In the entire Qingwu Hall, everyone else could not help but shut their mouths. There was only one voice left. Until now, the gains calculated by the other party could no longer be measured by simple silver taels. If they really had to calculate it in silver, it would be billions, or even tens of billions. It could not be compared to these resources, not to mention other things. Just the divine connection cultivation method alone could not be bought with silver. It was the same for spiritual stones. On the main seat, Qin Shujian, after hearing Su Yuanming's statistics, understood how big Yuanzong's harvest was this time. Inside, it did not include the resources that he had obtained from Liao Gumming's storage ring. Otherwise, it would be at least 10% more. Although 10% did not seem like much, compared to the huge resources of the Heavenly Corpse sect, 10% of the resources might not even be able to be taken out by ordinary large sections. It could be said that thousands of years of foundation, coupled with the strength of a top sect, became the biggest capital of the Heavenly Corpse sect. However, now, all these things belong to Yuanzong. If Yuanzong is allowed to develop steadily, it may not be possible to accumulate such a wealth even after a few hundred years. Qin Shujian thought in his heart. He realized that the stable development was fake. There was no such rapid development at all. Of course, this time, Yuanzong was able to destroy the Heavenly Corpse sect because of luck. If the Heavenly Corpse sect was prepared and used the strength of the entire sect to deal with it step by step, Yuanzong would definitely suffer heavy losses even if they wanted to take down the other party. Although the losses were not light now, as no less than 200 to 300 cultivators had died. But if the Heavenly Corpse sect was more stable, at least 60 to 70% of Yuanzong's people would have died there. After Su Yuanming finished speaking, Qin Shujian then said, "This time, Everyone who participated in the battle will get 50,000 contribution points. In addition, each branch will get a spiritual stone to be the foundation. If the rest of you want to get spiritual stones, you can also exchange them with contribution points. Currently, each spiritual stone is priced at 200,000 contribution points. You must be an elder or above to exchange for it. They had obtained a lot of spiritual stones this time. It was impossible to use all of them as a one-time consumption. After all, spiritual stones could be used as the foundation of a sect. The identity of the exchanger was limited, and the price was set at 200,000 contribution points. In this way, only a small group of people could exchange for spiritual stones. Hearing this, many people were overjoyed in their hearts. Putting aside the 50,000 contribution points reward for each person, many people also had some gains behind the scenes in addition to the rewards on the surface. Therefore, the 50,000 contribution points reward given by the sect was actually not a small amount. As for Fu Gang and the others, they were even more overjoyed. Obtaining an additional spirit stone meant that the branch lineage would have a deeper foundation. In the next 1 or 2 years, there would not be much of an effect, but after a few decades or 100 years, the difference between an additional spiritual stone and one less spiritual stone would be completely revealed. For cultivators, although it would be an exaggeration to describe a few decades or 100 years as a snap of the fingers, it was definitely affordable. Therefore, an additional spiritual stone for each branch was exactly what Fu Gang and the others wanted. Moreover, the stronger the strength of the branch they were in, the higher their status in the sect would be. There was no need to talk about the benefits. On the contrary, Qin Shujian's last words made many people think. This time, they had obtained 36 spiritual stones. Even if they gave out 6, they would still have 30 left. With such a large number of spiritual stones, it was naturally impossible for the main sect to swallow all of them. Therefore, it was normal for Qin Shujian to take out a part of them for exchange. Although 200,000 contribution points was a lot, but for some branch masters, it was not completely impossible for them to take it out. Ignoring the thoughts of others, Qin Shujian continued, "From tomorrow onwards, the monthly resources provided to disciples of all levels will be doubled. Our sect is not short of resources now, but what we need are strong people who have grown up. After the destruction of the Heavenly Corpse sect, the future will be much calmer. Our sect needs to take this opportunity to recuperate. The resources provided would be doubled. This matter could only be said directly after obtaining the foundation of the Heavenly Corpse sect. Or else, with the foundation of the original sect, if the resources were doubled, they would be in a state of not being able to make ends meet. It was estimated that it would not be long before the sect would be finished. At this point, Qin Shujian added, "The resources of all elders will also be doubled." "Thank you, Sect Master." The other elders cupped their hands and thanked him. This was also a good thing for them. As elders, they received a lot of resources every month. If the resources were doubled, it was equivalent to saving a lot of contribution points. Zhang Feng pondered and said, "Now that the Heavenly Corpse sect has been destroyed, the remaining forces who fought against our sect Yuan Pavilion should have been greatly deterred. Sect Master, what do you plan to do next?" "The various Yuan pavilions will operate as usual, but the focus will be placed on Baiyun Mansion," Qin Shujian said. He had originally planned to give the 53 sects a fierce warning. After warning others with ulterior motives, he would withdraw the Yuan pavilions from the various mansions in a dignified way and focus on the Baiyun Mansion. However, the battle of the Heavenly Corpse sect went too smoothly, to the extent that the Heavenly Corpse sect was directly destroyed. To be honest, Qin Shujian had never thought that he would be able to destroy the Heavenly Corpse sect so easily. Not only did he destroy the Heavenly Corpse sect, but he also obtained the Heavenly Corpse sect's resources, Jiang Feng, which was comparable to a celestial being. All of a sudden, Yuan Zong's mouth was full of oil, to the point where he was almost stuffed to death. In this way, Qin Shujian found that the Yuan pavilions didn't seem to be withdrawn. With Yuan Zong's current strength, even if the Yuan pavilions were there, how many sects would dare to make a move? After the fierce battle with the Heavenly Corpse sect, Not only did Yuanzong's strength not weaken much, but it was even more powerful than before. It was not an exaggeration to say that it was twice as powerful. Subsequently, Qin Shujian's face became cold again and said, "As for the other 51 sects, send a message to them now. If my sect doesn't apologize and make amends within a month, then don't blame me for paying them a visit one by one." The Heavenly Corpse sect was destroyed. He couldn't easily let go of the remaining 51 sections. Although it was impossible to really go to their door and destroy all the sects that attacked. But with Yuanzong's current strength, it was enough to threaten them. If there was really someone who didn't know how to appreciate kindness, when he took action, the other sects would have nothing to say. Regarding this, in the inherited martial hall, no one objected. The current group of elders had just calmed down from the battle with the Heavenly Corpse sect, and there was still some killing intent and fighting spirit in their hearts that hadn't subsided. For some people, the best way to go now was to attack the other 51 sects, destroy them all, and then take away all their resources. Subsequently, a message was sent out from the inherited martial hall to the 51 sections. On the other side, after the simple meeting, Qin Shujian came to the library. Once again, he entered the library. In the past, the space here wasn't small, but since he saw the library of the top sects in the Heavenly Corpse sect, now when he looked back at his own library, it was narrow no matter how he looked at it. Such a small space was no longer worthy of his Yuanzong status. Qin Shujian shook his head slightly. Then, as the sect master, he temporarily drove all the disciples who had entered the book collection pavilion to leave. After clearing out the people inside, he then started to set up the space array. The setting up of the array wasn't complicated. At least for him, as an array master, it was a relatively easy task. It only took an hour. Qin Shujian then left the library. As for the disciples who were waiting outside, at this moment, they all rushed in like a swarm of bees. But, damn, is this still the library? How long has it been? How could there be such a big change? Looking at the vast space in front of them, which was more than 10 times bigger than before, many people gasped, and the shock in their hearts was indescribable. Not everyone could understand the existence of a space array. For almost everyone, it was the first time that they had seen such a method. And what really attracted people's attention was, although the space had expanded by 10 times, the books inside didn't seem to be spacious. Instead, it looked more densely packed than before. This meant something. This meant that the books stored in the library were more abundant than before. Seeing this, many people connected the matter in front of them with the Heavenly Corpse sect. I heard that the Heavenly Corpse sect has been destroyed. Could the extra cultivation methods here be from the Heavenly Corpse sect? Is there a need to ask? It's 100% the cultivation methods of the Heavenly Corpse sect. A top sect that has been around for thousands of years. TSK, there must be many powerful cultivation methods. Don't think about it. Even if there is, it's definitely not on the first floor. Just know what kind of stuff is placed here. The disciples in the sect discussed animatedly, and some players looked regretful. The war between the two sections. It wasn't that there were no players who didn't want to watch the war, but there was no way to do so at all. Neither the Origin sect nor the Heavenly Corpse sect brought them along this time. The weakest person participating in the war was a cultivator in the spiritual god realm. Therefore, although many people had thoughts in their hearts, they couldn't do anything about it. Surprisingly, the players didn't record any video of this challenge that spread throughout the cultivation world. At this moment, after seeing the huge changes on the first floor of the library, some disciples had already used their identities to head to the higher floors. Sure enough, when they went up to the second and third floors, they discovered that the changes were no different from the first floor. More importantly, the number of cultivation methods and martial arts here had increased by a lot. In fact, some martial arts that shouldn't exist on the higher floors had appeared here at this moment. Many people were overjoyed by this change. In this way, they could save a lot of contribution points. The contribution points they saved could be exchanged for other resources to improve their strength. Although contribution points could be traded now, for some people, contribution points were even more insufficient. Every bit they could save was a little bit. After accumulating for a long time, it would be a huge expense. On the other side, after Qin Shujian left the library, he went directly to the peak of Mount Liang. Then, he took the 1,000 mountain blood and used the sharpness of the 3-seal Dao artifact to easily break open the hard rocks on the peak of the mountain, causing a huge crack to appear. As the crack appeared, a wave of rich spiritual energy of heaven and earth surged out from within. Immediately after, Qin Shujian took out 25 spiritual stones from his storage ring and threw them all into the crack. Then, he used his power to close the crack. At the same time, when the 25 spiritual stones were buried, the spiritual energy of the entire Yuan sect suddenly rose by a lot. Originally, I buried 2 spiritual stones. Now, with the 25 spiritual stones, there are 27 spiritual stones buried in Mount Liang. In this way, it is enough to be the foundation of the main sect. However, to reach the level of the Heavenly Corpse sect, I still need to accumulate a little more. Qin Shujian secretly calculated. This time, he had obtained 36 spiritual stones from the Heavenly Corpse sect and 17 from Lian Gumming's storage ring. The total number of spiritual stones had reached 53. However, each branch had consumed 6 spiritual stones, and now, 25 spiritual stones were buried in the main sect. In addition, he still had to leave a part for the elders to exchange. Qin Shujian suddenly realized. It seemed that there weren't many spiritual stones left behind. Chapter 442. As for directly deducting a portion of the resources, for Qin Shujian, those were his spoils of war and naturally belonged to him. Subsequently, he transferred all the things in his original storage ring into Liao Gumming's storage ring. Henceforth, this storage ring would officially belong to him. After doing these things, Qin Shujian suddenly realized that there seemed to be a lot of things that he had not done. Well, the divine-level martial arts are in my hands. I should spend some time to learn it. After all, the divine-level martial arts are generally qualified to master the divine-level martial arts. Its power is naturally not comparable to the divine-level martial arts. Now that the various Yuan pavilions have been opened, the identity tokens refined previously are not enough. I will need a continuous supply later. Speaking of which, this was the biggest problem. Once the Yuan pavilions were opened, it would involve tens of millions of rogue cultivators, or even more. However, he was the only one who could refine an identity token, because it involved a method of contribution points. Qin Shujian was not at ease to leave it to anyone else. Therefore, no matter how many identity tokens there were, he could only do it himself. Thinking of the millions of identity tokens, Qin Shujian felt a little dizzy. This would take a lot of time. Even if he had the spirit god incarnation, it would not be much of a relief. As for the materials consumed to refine identity tokens, it could be said to be a huge amount. Fortunately, the materials seized from the Heavenly Corpse sect had alleviated the urgent need. As long as the front part was alleviated, the back part would not be a problem. After all, as long as the Yuan pavilions were established, it would not be long before they could provide a steady stream of resources to the Yuan sect. At that time, there would be no shortage of materials. As for the imperial court, there was no movement before. It should be because of the war between our sect and the Heavenly Corpse sect. But now that the war between the two sects has ended, it will not be long before Wu Lang comes again. Qin Shujian thought again. His thoughts were already on the imperial court. No, to be more precise, it was placed on the evil demons. Now he discovered another benefit of luck, which was to extinguish or offset the karmic fire. The Dharma Eye's ability was indeed very powerful, but its flaws were also very obvious. That was, once he cut off the other party's luck, he would also have to bear the karmic fire. If he wasn't careful, he would be reduced to ashes by the wrath of heaven. And to completely cut off the providence of a deva, it would require the providence of a top-tier sect to offset it. To be honest, this price was not light at all. Although it had the trait of being invulnerable, it still couldn't completely withstand the karmic fire. Therefore, when one didn't have enough luck to withstand the karmic fire, this Dharma Eye couldn't be used casually. If a newly ascended diviner ancient Ming was already like this, then the fate of the stronger diviners would definitely be even more tyrannical. When that time comes, if he were to use the same method to kill another celestial, he would most likely be exposed to the wrath of the heavens in the next second. Although the Dharma Eye is good, its flaws are also very obvious. However, if you have enough luck, it is indeed a supreme technique that can contend against or even kill a celestial. The Chaser. What kind of existence is this, leaving behind an ability that can directly deal with a celestial? Judging from the evolution of the Dharma Eye from the spiritual eye, this shouldn't be something that the system deduced on its own. It seems to be the next evolution of the spiritual eye itself. If that's the case, to be able to easily kill a celestial great cultivator, it must be at least a mighty figure to be able to stay. Perhaps it's even more powerful than that. Thinking of the Chaser, Qin Shujian's expression changed. Looking at the big picture through a tube, just from the Dharma Eye, one could see how powerful the Chaser was. A mysterious existence that had the means to kill a celestial. Regarding such an unknown matter, to be honest, a trace of fear arose in his heart. However, now that the Chaser didn't have any clues at all, Qin Shujian couldn't get too much information. Therefore, he could only temporarily suppress the speculation in his heart and stop thinking about this matter. No matter what, with the Dharma Eye, he could be considered to have one more means to deal with a celestial. Moreover, after using this method to kill Lian Gumming, there should be many people in the world who would feel fear or even fear. In a short period of time, no celestial would really come to provoke him. Moreover, there were still very few celestial powerhouses in the Great Zhao. A top sect like the Heavenly Corpse sect that had existed for thousands of years only had one true celestial. As for Jiang Feng's words, it was completely unexpected. After obtaining the hidden passage technique, Qin Shujian understood what kind of method this was. To put it simply, it was to refine corpses. The stronger one was when they were alive, the stronger the zombie that could be refined. Moreover, the body must be preserved as it was when they were alive, without any defects. Just this point alone, it had already limited many options. Moreover, in this world, any NPC that was killed would directly return to heaven and earth. You could leave a part of the body in the form of harvesting spoils of war, but there was no way to leave a complete body. Therefore, those who could refine zombies could only be those powerhouses who had died of old age. This kind of powerhouse would not return to heaven and earth and would still leave a corpse behind. However, how rare was the corpse of a celestial tier elite? One could imagine just by thinking about it. In addition, the method to refine a heavenly corpse was very complicated, and it could not be done in a short period of time. It needed to be refined over a long period of time with a specific method before it could be truly refined successfully. Otherwise, Lian Gumming would not only have Jiang Feng's heavenly corpse. Apart from heavenly corpses, the latter, earth and golden corpses, had lower requirements. But correspondingly, the strength of the zombies refined would be correspondingly weaker. Although the process was simpler, it was still very complicated. With Origin Sect's current strength, it was not bad to refine a batch of earth corpses comparable to divine martial realm cultivators, but complete corpses of divine martial realm cultivators were not easy to find. As for golden corpses comparable to spiritual martial realm cultivators, it was completely unnecessary. Origin Sect did not lack spiritual martial realm cultivators now. What they lacked was the combat strength of divine martial realm and celestial realm cultivators. Afterward, Qin Shujian took out 3 more crystals from his storage ring. These 3 crystals contained the divinity martial arts of the Heavenly Corpse sect. Compared to other martial arts, the divine martial arts could no longer be recorded on paper. Only by transmitting the memories of the crystals could it be truly passed down. Moreover, the inheritance crystals were not one-time consumables. As long as the consciousness inside did not dissipate, it could be kept forever. Holding the 3 crystals in his hand, Qin Shujian's divine thought fell on one of the crystals. Buzz. An invisible wave spread out. Qin Shujian found himself in a dazzling starry sky in an instant. A man was standing there with a blade in his hand. All of a sudden, he saw the other party make a simple slash, and in an instant, he saw the galaxy collapse. A long saber mark was deeply embedded in the galaxy, and no matter how the galaxy surged, it could not drown it out. The moment he saw the saber mark, Qin Shujian's attention was completely attracted. Sharp, destruction, slaughter. It was just a simple saber mark, but it made Qin Shujian feel as if he saw endless slaughter, and also as if he saw the changes of the world. Only this saber was eternal. After a long time, only then did Qin Shujian withdraw from this state. You have learned the divine martial art, spirit severing. You have learned the divine martial art, spirit severing, and your understanding of the saber will has deepened. Your saber will has evolved. You have obtained the true meaning of saber. Several messages appeared in the system, and he was a little absent-minded again. After a while, Qin Shujian came back to his senses and checked the changes in his attributes. As expected, in the special ability column, the saber will, 20%, had evolved into the true meaning of saber. In addition, there was a new attribute column under the martial arts, divine martial art. As for the newly learned spirit severing, it appeared after the divinity connection martial arts. Divine martial art, spirit severing, 10%. There was no such thing as beginner, nor was there any such thing as greater perfection. The division of the divine martial art column was completely different from the division of martial arts. Spirit severing, 10%? Qin Shujian murmured softly. If that's the case, then I should have only mastered 10% of this divine martial art. I can't continue to improve it. Thinking of this, he closed his eyes again, digesting everything related to spirit severing. Finally, he opened his eyes again, and his heart was shaken. Spirit severing. As the name implied, it could slay a spirit deity. This was a technique that did not affect the physical body and was specifically used to attack the spirit deity. It could be said that this divine martial art was the nemesis of sects like the Heavenly Corpse sect, which focused on body refinement. So what if the physical defense was strong? With one slash, it would not slash your physical body, but your spirit deity. Unless your spirit deity was strong enough, or you had a spirit item or Tao item to protect you, you would have to obediently endure it. This was the domineering aspect of spirit severing. As for the so-called true meaning of the saber, it gave Qin Shujian a deeper understanding of the Tao of the saber. After gaining this ability, in the future, when he learned other saber techniques, he would be able to improve at lightning speed. He would be even more terrifying than the average Tao of the saber genius. Afterward, Qin Shujian's gaze fell on the two crystals at the back of the box. A spirit-severing technique was already so extraordinary. The last two divine martial arts would not be too far off. Thinking of this, he directly focused his divine will on them. You have learned the divine martial art, 9 tribulations, immortal body. You have learned the divine martial art, Dharma, idol, heaven, and earth. Boom. When Qin Shujian saw the last divinity martial art, he felt his head buzzing. He wondered if he had seen wrongly. Dharma, idol, heaven, and earth. The last divine martial art is actually Dharma, idol, heaven, and earth. He couldn't help but mutter to himself. This name, Qin Shujian really did not want to be too familiar with it. Dharma, idol, heaven, and earth was rumored to be a technique only immortals and gods could master in his previous life. Now it had fallen into his hands. Regarding this, Qin Shujian did not think that the Dharma, idol, heaven, and earth here was as simple as the name. As a divine martial art, this in itself meant that it was extraordinary. Afterward, his gaze once again fell upon the attribute panel. After spirit severing, there were 2 additional words, 9th level immortal body and Dharma, idol, heaven, and earth. Divine martial art, 9 tribulations immortal body, untouched, divine martial art, Dharma, idol, heaven, and earth, 1st level, untouched. Looking at the divine martial art column, Qin Shujian's eyes revealed a trace of doubt in the martial arts that he had obtained in the past. After learning it, he would directly enter the 1st level. It was the first time that he had encountered one that showed that it had not been touched. It was equivalent to not really entering the 1st level. However, after digesting the 9 tribulations immortal body, Qin Shujian also knew the way to go through the 1st level. It was very simple. The first level was the Thunder Tribulation, summoning heavenly thunder to refine the body. As long as he could withstand it, this martial art was considered a beginner. As for not being able to withstand it, that was needless to say. I need to withstand the Thunder Tribulation before even reaching the beginner level. It seems that this 9 Tribulations immortal body is a bit interesting. Without a doubt, this was a body-refining martial art. After obtaining the ancient immortal body, Qin Shujian actually did not need any body-refining techniques. After all, his body had been developed and strengthened to a terrifying extent after obtaining this characteristic. Learning other body-refining techniques would be a complete waste of his life force. After all, when the body reached a certain level, the same type of martial arts could no longer be superimposed. However, it was not difficult to reach the beginner level of the 9 Tribulations immortal body and did not need to consume any life force. Qin Shujian was interested in trying. Rumble. The originally clear sky was instantly covered by dark clouds. In just a few breaths of time, the Thunder Tribulation fell from the sky. Regarding this matter, the people of Yuan sect only glanced at it briefly and then went on to do their own things. The Earth Vein. Xiaoping had just returned from the main sect when he saw the thunderclouds above Mount Liang. He frowned slightly, but did not pay much attention to it. Soon, he gathered the other elders in the Earth Vein for a meeting. In the main sect, Xiaoping was just an inner sect elder. Although his status was not low, he was not at the top among the elders. However, in the Earth Vein, he was the Vein Master. Unless Qin Shujian was here, no one could be higher than him in terms of status. As for the Earth Vein, most of the elders were directly promoted after he consulted the main sect. To a certain extent, these people were Xiaoping's subordinates. Therefore, after receiving the Vein Master's order, almost all the elders were present. No one was absent. Vein Master, may I know why you called us here this time? An outer sect elder of the Earth Vein cupped his hands and asked. In the hall, the others also looked at Xiaoping with a puzzled expression. You should know about the war between the main sect and the Heavenly Corpse sect. Some of the elders even participated in this war. As Xiaoping spoke, his gaze paused for a moment on a few of them. According to the sect master's order, everyone who participated in the war will be rewarded with 50,000 contribution points. Hearing this sentence, a few elders' faces lit up. They were the ones who started the war with the Heavenly Corpse sect. However, the outer sect elders were not qualified to participate in the main sect's meeting. Therefore, many of them did not know about the 50,000 contribution points reward at all. In addition, every branch vein will receive an extra spirit stone to increase the spirit energy of each branch vein. Xiaoping paused for a moment before continuing. At the same time, the main sect has opened up a spirit stone exchange system for the elders. 200,000 contribution points can be exchanged for 1 spirit stone. The elders should be very clear about how useful spirit stones are to the branch veins. Every additional spirit stone will strengthen the foundation. After a few hundred years, it might be able to suppress the other branches. Does the Vein Master mean that our Earth Vein is going to exchange spirit stones? Some of the elders already understood the meaning of Xiaoping's words. As for the real purpose of gathering them here, they could vaguely guess. Xiaoping said, the main sect is growing stronger day by day. Since the rules of the main sect competition and the other test were set, it can be seen that the stability of the branches is only temporary. It won't take long. Perhaps the resources provided by each branch need to be distributed according to the strength of each branch. The strong eat more and the weak eat less. I don't think I need to say too much about this. So, there's no doubt that the Earth Vein's foundation will be strengthened. As the elders of the Earth Vein, you should contribute to the Earth Vein. If the Earth Vein suppresses the other branches in the future, you will also benefit. After Xiaoping finished speaking, there was a brief silence. Then someone asked, what does the Vein Master want us to do? The Heavenly Corpse sect obtained 36 spirit stones this time. The main sect has at least 30 spirit stones. After deducting the spirit stones used by the main sect and some other reserves, I estimate that we will be able to exchange 10 to 20 spirit stones for spirit stones. Xiaoping calmly analyzed. He knew a lot about the uses of spirit stones. Of the remaining 30 spirit stones, Qin Shujian would definitely not take out all of them for them to exchange. To put it bluntly, the main sect was the true foundation of the Yuan sect. The various branches were just derivatives. Under such circumstances, Qin Shujian must have left some spirit stones to strengthen the main sect's foundation. The remaining spirit stones that could be taken out were at most half. And this was the most ideal assumption. If it was too little, they might not even have 10 spirit stones to exchange. Looking at the elders' expressions, Qiu Ping did not beat around the bush and went straight to the point. I plan to gather enough contribution points and exchange them for spirit stones as much as possible. Elders should have a lot of contribution points in storage. I wonder if you would be willing to contribute to the Earth Vein. How much does the Vein Master need? Speaking of contribution points, for many people, it was their lifeblood. But it was just as Qiu Ping said. Perhaps the main sect would decide the allocation of resources based on the strength of the branches. Given the main sect's current bold and decisive manner, such a situation was not impossible. When that time came, the competition would be based on the strength of each branch. If they were weaker than others, it would be a problem for them to lose face. But if they had fewer resources, it would be a big problem. Qiu Ping said, I plan to gather 600,000 contribution points and exchange them for 3 spirit stones. In addition to the spirit stones that we already have, the Earth Vein will have enough for now. 600,000. Hiss. Hearing this, some people sucked in a breath of cold air. 600,000 contribution points was a huge expenditure. Although there was a contribution point exchange system now, it was still 200 taels of silver for 1 contribution point. 600,000 contribution points would be equivalent to 120 million taels of silver. Although the market price of 1 spirit stone was 10 million taels of silver in the outside world, this price was not accurate at all. Even if there were 10 million taels of silver, no one would use spirit stones to exchange. Therefore, no one objected to Qin Shujian's discount of 200,000 contribution points for 1 spirit stone to 40 million taels of silver. However, 600,000 contribution points was a huge blow to the Earth Vein. As for using silver to exchange for spirit stones, that was even more impossible. 120 million taels of silver. Even if they emptied the entire branch, they would not be able to take out that much. Although they had seized the Heavenly Corp sect's resources, which were worth more than 10 billion, those were the main sect's treasures and had nothing to do with the branches. To put it bluntly, the main sect's wealth belonged to the main sect. Moreover, even if those resources were in the main sect, other than the sect leader, no one else had the right to use them. Therefore, the Earth Vein did not have the right to interfere. When Qiu Ping said 600,000 contribution points, the elders in the hall all had different expressions on their faces. Many of them couldn't make up their minds. Seeing this, Qiu Ping was not surprised. Qiu Ping wasn't surprised. He continued, I'll pay 200,000 contribution points. Elders, you can pay the remaining 400,000 contribution points. The Earth Vein is not mine either. If the Earth Vein is strong enough, you will also gain a lot of benefits. 600,000 contribution points. Qiu Ping offered 1/3 of the contribution points. The other elders were shocked. At this point, even if they did not want to agree, they had no choice. After all, Qiu Ping had already offered 200,000 contribution points as a show of sincerity. If they refused, their days in the Earth Vein would be like sitting on pins and needles. Moreover, exchanging for spirit stones did bring them many benefits. Therefore, after Qiu Ping said that, the other elders only hesitated for a moment before nodding in agreement. Each of these outer elders had more or less tens of thousands of contribution points left. In addition, Qin Shujian had given each of them 50,000 contribution points as a reward for participating in the battle. It would not be difficult to gather 600,000 contribution points. Even after this round of gathering, the Earth Vein would be in an awkward situation where there would be no contribution points to use for a period of time. However, this was not a big problem. Since the contribution points could be traded, Qiu Ping collected all 600,000 contribution points on the spot and headed to the main sect without stopping for a moment. The moment he stepped into the main sect, Xiaoping found that the concentration of spirit energy in the main sect had increased a lot. In just a breath, a large amount of spirit energy had entered his body. It seems that the sect leader has placed the spirit stones in the main sect. With regards to this change, he only needed to think about it for a moment before he knew what was going on. Subsequently, Xiaoping walked directly to the sundry hall. Chapter 443. In the sundry hall, Su Yuanming had been staying here for the past few days. A large number of resources were brought back from the Heavenly Corpse sect. Many people came to exchange for them. Sometimes, as the hall master, he had to personally come to exchange for more valuable resources. Elder Qiu, why are you here? Are you here to exchange for spirit stones? Su Yuanming was sipping tea in the inner hall when he saw his disciple bring Xiaoping in. He smiled and asked. Xiaoping cupped his hands and sat down as if they were close friends. They were both from the Cold Mountain Stockade, so they had a good relationship. There were many things. They didn't care too much about etiquette. Instead, they were a little casual. Xiaoping smiled faintly and said, Elder Su's eyes are as sharp as torches. You even know what I'm here for. It seems like that's the case. Su Yuanming laughed and shook his head. Someone like Xiaoping, who rarely came to the main sect, suddenly came to his sundry hall. It was easy to guess what was going on. This time, the sect took out some spirit stones for people to exchange. It could be said that, now, many people were eyeing this batch of spirit stones. However, the 200,000 contribution points threshold stopped most people in their tracks. Spirit stones were good. However, 200,000 contribution points was still quite valuable. Xiaoping asked, how many spirit stones did the sect take out for us to exchange? 10. Su Yuanming replied. Xiaoping thought to himself, as expected. As he had guessed, the sect didn't take out many spirit stones for people to exchange this time. 10 spirit stones. If they were divided among the different branches, there would be no need to say much. Even if they didn't count the monster vein, the other branches would only have about 2 spirit stones. Sect Master, did you limit how many spirit stones each branch can exchange? I didn't. Su Yuanming shook his head and said with a half-smile, Elder Qiu, are you planning to take all 10 spirit stones? If I had 2 million contribution points, I would take all of them. Haha. Su Yuanming laughed. He knew that it was impossible for any branch to take all 10 spirit stones. 2 million contribution points. Even if they emptied all their assets, they wouldn't be able to take out that much. Unless all 5 branches work together, they might be able to do it. To tell the truth, from Su Yuanming's point of view, the 10 spirit stones that Qin Shujian offered might have been an estimation of the contribution points that each branch meridian could move. I can't take out 2 million contribution points, but 600,000 contribution points is still possible. Is Elder Qiu serious? Of course, I've brought my contribution points with me. Elder Su, please help me exchange them for 3 spiritual stones. As he spoke, Xiaoping used his quintessential origin force to lift his identity token and send it over to Su Yuanming. Su Yuanming reached out and took it. As his divine sense descended, he looked at the 600,000 contribution points and suddenly smiled. It seems that Elder Qiu has really thought it through. Fine. Since Elder Qiu has already made his decision, I have no problem with it. After all, as long as you have enough contribution points, you can exchange for anything in the sundry hall. Su Yuanming did not dwell too much on this issue. After deducting 600,000 contribution points from Xiaoping, he stood up, walked into the warehouse, and handed over a jade box to Xiaoping. Xiaoping also returned Xiaoping's identity token. Xiaoping opened the jade box, and a gust of spiritual qi rushed out. 3 spiritual stones lay quietly in the box, surrounded by a faint green spiritual qi. After receiving the spiritual stones, he did not linger and took the items away. After Xiaoping left, other elders from the other branches came. Their purpose was the same as Xiaoping's, to exchange for spiritual stones. Everyone could understand. All resources were expendable. Only things like spiritual stones, which could last forever, were the true foundation of a sect. The increase in the spiritual chi of heaven and earth had changed the environment of the earth vein. It was not just one or two people who came. That's all? When Fu Gang heard Su Yuanming's words, he almost spat out the tea in his mouth. Su Yuanming said helplessly, Elder Fu is not the only one who came to exchange for spiritual stones. The other elders came as well. The sect only gave out 10 spiritual stones in total, and they were all exchanged. These bastards! At this moment, Fu Gang could not help but curse. In order to exchange for enough spiritual stones, he had hardened his heart and emptied his entire branch's treasury. In the end, he had brought 800,000 contribution points. But now, he had brought the contribution points, but Su Yuanming told him that the spiritual stones were all gone. Fu Gang suddenly felt as if a basin of cold water had been poured over his head. He still could not believe it. He asked repeatedly, Are the spiritual stones really gone? They're really gone. Su Yuanming spread his hands helplessly. Hearing that, Fu Gang had no choice but to accept the fact that he was one step behind. He sighed again and took off his identity token. Elder Su, please exchange for some cultivation resources for me. Previously, he had sold his resources to exchange for spiritual stones. But now that he had no spiritual stones and resources, it was useless to have a pile of contribution points. In the end, he had to exchange them for resources again. Hearing that, Su Yuanming would not refuse. Boom! Another bolt of tribulation lightning fell, causing a loud rumbling sound to be heard even in the inner hall. Fu Gang walked out of the inner hall and looked at the thunder clouds in the sky. He turned to Su Yuanming and asked, Sect Master, have you been refining any spiritual weapons recently? The Sect Master has always been mysterious. Although we are elders, we can't find out too much. Su Yuanming shook his head. The peak of Mount Liang was a forbidden area of the sect. So far, no one was qualified to go there. Even the great elder of technique imparting was the same. At this moment, at the peak of Mount Liang, Qin Shujian had already completed the entry level of the 9 Tribulations immortal body and began to refine the spiritual weapon array disc. Last time, the 18 square array discs had been damaged in the battle against Lian Gumming. Later, when the heavenly punishment hellfire descended, it directly destroyed the array. Speaking of which, because of this, he lost 12 spiritual stones. Qin Shujian felt a little heartache. But there was no doubt that an array master with an array disc in hand was in his most powerful state. Without the control of the person who set up the array, he could already trap a heavenly being supreme cultivator. If someone was controlling the array, the power would increase exponentially. However, to refine a powerful enough array disc, the materials needed were also extraordinary. This time, Qin Shujian obtained a lot of level 9 forging materials from the Heavenly Corpse sect. This time, he just happened to be able to refine a set of array disc to fight against the enemy. The lightning tribulation continued to bombard down. However, the array disc below the lightning tribulation remained motionless. No matter how the violent power bombarded it, it showed no signs of being destroyed. The lightning tribulation lasted for 3 days. When the last lightning tribulation fell, the array disc was officially formed. Next, I have to inscribe the array on the array disc. Qin Shujian focused his mind and mobilized the spiritual chi of heaven and earth to write array patterns. Then, he engraved them on the array disc. After a long time, 27 square array discs formed a circle. After hovering in the sky for a while, they were put into his storage ring. Because this time, he had enough materials. Qin Shujian didn't just refine 18 square array discs. Instead, he directly refined 27 square array discs. This was the limit of the array he could control. If it was any stronger, it would exceed the current level. 27 square array discs. Each of them is a top-upper spiritual artifact. If it weren't for the material limitations, it would be enough to enter the ranks of half-step Dao artifacts. In this way, the power of the array disc will be much stronger than before. It will be much easier to fight against Lian Gumming again. Qin Shujian was very satisfied with the results of this refining. To refine a top-upper spiritual artifact, Even a grandmaster blacksmith couldn't do it so perfectly every time. Their success this time was also due to luck. Subsequently, Qin Shujian's spiritual deity moved and once again transformed into many spiritual deity avatars. Then, he took out the other materials and used the red lotus of purgation to melt them all. The refining of the life-saving trump card was completed. The next thing to be refined was the real vast amount of work. The identity tokens needed to meet the requirements of the Yuan Pavilion. To refine millions of identity tokens, not to mention the materials needed, just the time required was not something that could be completed in 1 or 2 days. More than half a month later, Qin Shujian almost stayed in the forbidden area and didn't move a single step. He was wholeheartedly refining the identity tokens. During this process, even with his current tyrannical spiritual deity, he couldn't support the consumption. However, he had prepared a lot of vitality pills, so there wasn't any problem. During the period when Qin Shujian was in seclusion, many sects in the cultivation world, seeing that they couldn't resist the Yuan Pavilion, imitated the Yuan Pavilion's approach and set up businesses similar to the Yuan Pavilion to gather rogue cultivators and earn profits. However, with the Yuan Pavilion in the lead, the following sects couldn't do it to the same extent as the Yuan Pavilion. However, to a certain extent, it also divided a lot of resources. Regarding these changes, the Yuan sect didn't say anything, and the Yuan Pavilion also operated as usual. It didn't arouse the slightest anger. Now, many sects are imitating, except for the majority of rogue cultivators in the Baiyun Mansion, who are still in the hands of the Yuan Pavilion. The rest of the mansion has been divided into many people in the past month. What do you think about this, Great Elder? In an inner hall, Su Yuanming looked at Zheng Fang and asked with a faint smile. Qin Shujian was in seclusion, and now the Great Elder was in charge of all matters, big or small. Zheng Fang was unmoved and said calmly, "The cultivation world is too big, so big that it can't be completely controlled by 1 or 2 sections. Although our sect is strong now, it's not really invincible. Moreover, even if it's as strong as the human emperor and the current Great Zhao, they still have to share part of the benefits to the many sects in the cultivation world. If our sect wants to control all rogue cultivators in our hands, we will become the target of public criticism sooner or later. On the contrary, the current situation is good. The other sects are imitating the Yuan Pavilion, which is equivalent to acknowledging our approach. As the first sect to open the Yuan Pavilion, we already have enough advantages. What's left is that we need time to settle down." Zheng Fang also agreed with the other sects imitating the Yuan Pavilion's approach. This was the best situation. If the other sects imitated, then the Yuan sect's approach would no longer be unconventional, and it would even step into a situation where all the other sects were against each other. Zheng Fang didn't want to dwell on this topic. Instead, he changed the topic and said, "However, the 51 sects haven't made any moves yet. It seems that the shock of our annihilation of the Heavenly Corpse sect wasn't enough. What does Great Elder plan to do? A life for a life, and a debt must be paid. Previously, the 53 sects attacked us to destroy the Yuan Pavilion. The Heavenly Corpse sect and the Celestial Elephant sect have already paid the price. There's no reason for the other sects to be spared." A strand of gloomy and cold killing intent flashed within Zheng Fang's eyes. This is a grudge between the 51 sects and the Yuan sect. Since they were given a chance to apologize before, and now no one is willing to accept this kindness, then the others have nothing to say when our sect takes action. Su Yuanming was silent. From Zheng Fang's words, it was obvious that he was planning to take action against the other 51 sections. Apart from the Heavenly Corpse sect, the other sects weren't strong. Now, only the sects of the major regions were worth paying attention to. We have to ask the sect master about this matter. No one is allowed to disturb the sect master's seclusion. With the sect master's style of doing things, Elder Su should be able to understand what the result is. The 1-month deadline isn't up yet. Why don't you wait a few more days, Great Elder? If we say 1 month, then it will be 1 month. We naturally keep our word. Zheng Fang nodded slightly and didn't object to Su Yuanming's words. 4 Symbols sect. As one of the 53 sects, after the destruction of the Celestial Elephant sect and the Heavenly Corpse sect, this sect was also under a lot of pressure, especially in recent times. The Yuan Pavilion hadn't revoked the bounty on their sect, causing many disciples to die unexpectedly. Of course, as a major sect of the spirit realm, the Four Symbols sect's strength was also extraordinary. Under such circumstances, they had killed many wandering cultivators and intimidated a group of people. But killing people could intimidate wandering cultivators, but it couldn't intimidate players. Therefore, until now, the Four Symbols sect was still in a state of martial law. However, for the sect master of the Four Symbols sect, the biggest problem now wasn't the Yuan Pavilion's bounty, but the message that Yuan Zong had sent to them more than 20 days ago. The 1-month deadline is almost up. I wonder what the elders think about Yuan Zong's matter? The person who spoke was a middle-aged man with a long beard. He looked like an elegant gentleman. This was the sect master of the Four Symbols sect, Qiyu, a great cultivator of the prominent divine stage. As soon as he finished speaking, the elders of the Four Symbols sect looked at each other and didn't know how to respond. Previously, Yuan Zong had sent a message to the Four Symbols sect to apologize. All the senior members of the sect knew very well. But knowing was one thing, and doing something was another. If anyone agreed, they would lose the dignity of the sect if they didn't do well. However, if they refused and angered Yuan Zong, they might be the main culprit of the sect's calamity. Therefore, facing Qiyu's words, the others didn't answer without permission. Seeing this, Qiyu's gaze fell on someone and said in a deep voice, "Elder Zhao, what do you think?" Elder Zhao, who was sitting calmly, was clearly stunned when he heard this. After a long while, he said hesitantly, "It's up to the sect master. I don't have any opinions on this." Qiyu's face immediately darkened. Elder Zhao is also a founding member of our sect. Whether we fight or make peace now has a great impact on our sect. If even Elder Zhao is unwilling to speak, it's difficult for me, the sect master, to make the decision alone. Looking at Qiyu's unfriendly expression, Elder Zhao felt bitter in his heart. However, since the other party had already said so, if he continued to refuse, he might completely offend the other party. The consequences of offending the sect master of a sect could be imagined. As for the other elders, they all turned to look at each other. Every one of them had a slight change in expression. After coughing twice, Elder Zhao said, "Yuan Zong sent a message. It's not only our Four Symbols sect, but the other 50 sects have also received the same message. As far as I know, the other sects haven't made much of a move. Therefore, in my opinion, it's better if the enemy doesn't make a move and we don't make a move. We'll make a decision after we see the situation clearly." Elder Zhao, you're right. The other 50 sects haven't made a move. The most appropriate thing for us to do now is to wait and see. After Elder Zhao finished speaking, the other elders nodded in agreement. In their opinion, this was the most appropriate thing to do now. They wouldn't directly offend Yuan Zong or embarrass the sect. As the saying goes, the law can't punish the majority. If the other sects didn't make a move, Yuan Zong wouldn't just vent his anger on the Four Symbols sect. After Yuan Zong destroyed the Heavenly Corpse sect, he only sent a message to the other sections. It could be seen that he didn't really want to make a move on these sections. After all, it wasn't just 1 or 2 sects that were involved, but a total of 51 sections. If Yuan Zong really made a move, it would definitely cause a bigger commotion than the destruction of the Heavenly Corpse sect. Just as Qiyu was thinking, a middle-aged elder sitting at the end cupped his hands and said, "Sect Master, I have a different opinion." "What's your opinion, Elder Ing?" "In my opinion, if our sect really ignores Yuan Zong's words, the consequences will be very serious. Given Qin Shujian's vengeful character, he might not care about the consequences of destroying us." "Elder Ing, do you know Qin Shujian very well?" "I don't know much about Qin Shujian, but the sect I was in was destroyed by Yuan Zong. He's ruthless and can't be underestimated." Ing Wenyao took a deep breath as if he had recalled a bad memory. This former sect master of Shifang's sect had fled when Yuan Zong launched a large-scale attack. In the end, he even left Baiyun Mansion and went to other mansions to be on the safe side. He broke through to the spirit martial realm by chance and completely abandoned his previous identity. He turned and joined the Four Symbols sect and became an inner elder. Initially, Ing Wenyao thought, He might not have anything to do with Yuanzong in this life. In the end, no matter how hard he tried, the Four Symbols sect still encountered Yuanzong. It was just that his words carried little weight and his foundation was still shallow, so it was inconvenient for him to say many things. But now that the Four Symbols sect was on the verge of death, Ing Wenyao could not help but remind them. It was not easy to join a sect and have a few peaceful days. He really did not want to change places. Hearing this, many people were startled. They realized that this newly promoted inner sect elder had some other stories. Chiyu knew a little about Ing Wenyao's background. After hearing his words, he asked, "Elder Ing, how much do you know about Yuanzong?" Yuanzong used to be a mountain bandit in the ordinary realm. He relied on robbing to make a living, even though he later got rid of his identity as a bandit and became a top sect. But speaking of which, Qin Shujian and the others are still bandits that are hard to get rid of. Their methods are ruthless and ruthless. Everything they do is for the sake of cutting the weeds and eliminating the roots. The Star Elephant sect and the Heavenly Corpse sect are the most obvious examples. Qin Shujian dared to declare war on the Heavenly Corpse sect regardless of the cost. He even destroyed the Heavenly Corpse sect. Do you really think that he will be wary of the existence of the remaining 51 sects? Now that Yuanzong has swallowed the resources of the Heavenly Corpse sect, and it is rumored that he has obtained a heavenly corpse with the battle strength of a heavenly human, his strength will definitely be stronger than before. Now that Yuanzong is at its peak, any force that stands in its way will only be destroyed. Don't you see that Yuanzong is now allowed to open and even imitate Yuanzong? It is the top sects that are giving in to Yuanzong. I don't mean to look down on the sects, but in the current situation, let alone the Four Symbols sect, even the top sects are not willing to provoke Yuanzong. Now that the sects are waiting and watching, when the experts of the Red Sun sect arrive, it will be the day of the sect's destruction. Sect Master, you must not follow in their footsteps. Otherwise, the Four Symbols sect will be in danger. Ing Wenyao said all the words in his heart in one breath. The onlooker sees the game clearly. In his opinion, these elders who were still hoping for a fluke were no different from brainless idiots. So what if there were 51 sects? Did they really think that they could be stronger than the Heavenly Corpse sect? Even the Heavenly Corpse sect had been destroyed, let alone the 51 sects, which were a plate of loose sand. If Yuanzong wanted to destroy them, he did not need to send out many experts. The Celestial Elephant sect had been destroyed by the Test Sword Peak. If Yuanzong could have one Test Sword Peak, they could have a second and a third. Not to mention, Yuanzong's biggest advantage was not the number of experts, but the number of Dao artifacts that made one's scalp tingle. A few 3-seal Dao artifacts carried by an expert were enough to turn a spirit domain sect into ashes. As for Chiyu, who was on the main seat, after hearing Ing Wenyao's words, he fell into deep thought. To be honest, what the other party had said just now had awakened him. With Yuanzong's current power and influence, would they really care about the complicated relationship between the 51 sects and not act rashly? If it was before this, Chiyu would have thought so. After all, if they could act, why didn't Yuanzong do it, and instead sent messages to the other sects? But now, Ing Wenyao's words made him think otherwise. Yuanzong might not have other intentions for not acting. He was just too lazy to do it. After all, the 51 sects were divided into 13 prefectures. It would take a lot of time to attack them one by one. For a moment, Chiyu's mind spun rapidly as he weighed the pros and cons. Soon, he made a decision in his heart. Compared to the issue of dignity, the Four Symbols sect could not take the risk of being destroyed. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.